Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see what if neglected Naruto Diswoned. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. A little blonde boy was running away from the mod of fork sticks and torches. Die demon, and other various similar things were said to the boy. The boy had tanned skin with bright blonde hair. He was covered in bruises and cuts. He ran and ran as fast as he could, but there is only so much that a 5-year-old could do, so they finally caught up and beat him up. October 10th was the Kyuubi festival, and as others like to call it, the fox hunt. Every day on the little boy's birthday, he would undergo the same thing. Not that they didn't beat him every day, by this day was always the worst. Being the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, the boy was seen as the demon itself, in human form. This boy was the son of the 4th Hokage and the Red Habanaro. And yet they never treated him any better than the villagers. While their son was getting beaten by the villagers, they were celebrating the daughter's 5th birthday at the festival, not aware of someone missing. After the beating was over, the boy had enough. He didn't want to live anymore. He hated the village, his sister and especially his parents for never believing him of the villagers' harassment. He took one of the kunai that were lying there and limped to the then deserted park. "If nobody wants me, then I'll grant their wish," he said aloud. He took the kunai, and went to stab himself in the neck, only to be stopped by a girl. She was shocked that a little boy his age was thinking about committing suicide. "What do you think you're doing? Why do you want to kill yourself?" she asked. The looked at her in shock as well. He wasn't expecting anyone to be there, let alone stop him from killing himself. "This village wants me died, don't you know, so don't stop me and leave me alone." "Sorry, but I might be new to this village, but why do they hate you? You look like a sweet little boy who wouldn't harm anyone. Can you please tell me?" the girl pleaded. The girl was no older than 9 years old and she had wanted to talk to him. She actually cared about him. He looked at her and started to cry. She held him, and he felt warm, something he had never felt before. So he told her about his family and the villagers, and said that he didn't know why the villagers called him a demon, while his sister was seen as a hero. He told her that he wanted them to train him along with his sister, but was always declined. He would always be locked out, and left out of everything. After he finished, he looked at the girl who was at tears due to his story. She couldn't believe that such a sweet-looking boy went through so much. When he saw her tears, he only cried more. "She crying for me. No one ever did that," he thought. "Do you want to be friends?" he asked, hoping to have gained a friend, but looked devastated when she shook her head no, but brightened up when she said, "No, we won't be friends, we'll be family. By the way, I never got your name. My name's Miley." "My name is Naruto Namikaze." "Wait, Namikaze, as in the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze? Are you his son?" he nodded. She was beyond shocked that the villagers would treat the leader's child like that, and more that the Hokage would neglect his son for his daughter. It took a lot of persuasion from Naruto so she wouldn't go and rile up the village. "Well, since they hardly notice whether or not you're there, why not come to my place? I'll leave a shadow clone of your house transformed as you and keep my chakra low to avoid suspicion." She looked at Naruto, who was fidgeting, as if he wanted to say something. "If you want to say something, anything for that matter, you can ask me. I am your older sister now, aren't I?" Smiling brightly he asked, "I just wanted to ask if I could call you Ne-chan, instead of Miley." She nodded in approval, then he continued, "And if you could train? Are you really strong?" He looked at her waiting for a reply. "Bro, where I come from, everyone sees me as the strongest, and of course I train you. Now come, let's go home." He looked at her with confusion. "My home is yours now as well, remember?" He nodded. Then she made a shadow clone, which then transformed into Naruto and went home. She and the real Naruto shushined to her house, and what he saw was too much for a 5-year-old to take in all at once. In front of him was the most beautiful mansion that could ever be created. He looked in awe as they welcomed them in the front. As they came into the huge house, some of the maids and butlers looked at the poor boy covered in bandages, and asked his sister if they should clean him up. She refused, saying that she was going to do it herself, but instead asked for a bath to be ready for him as well as a set of new clothes. He didn't say a word, but was still absorbing the fact that his new older sister was super rich. "Surprised? Don't be, like I said, this is your house as well, okay?" she said, and received a nod from a still shocked little boy. Then she gathered all the maids and butlers and said, "Now I want you all to listen to me. This is Naruto and he is now my younger brother, so I want everyone to show him respect, okay? They nodded showing they understood, and then left. A maid came up to her and told her that her father was out and said won't be back in about a week's time. She nodded and turned her attention to Naruto. Come on, I need to clean and heal you better. What I did at the park wasn't enough. She picked him up in her arms and then went to one of the rooms. As he looked inside, it was the largest room he had ever seen, but wasn't as shocked as earlier, deducing that everything in the house was big. He finally decided to ask, as she cleaned his wounds. "Nei-chan, can you tell me more about yourself?" Everyone here looks at with respect and they look sincerely happy and kind people. Now Naruto was a smart boy for his age, it just wasn't noticed by anyone. She laughed and asked, "Well, what do you want to know? Why were you at the village even though you don't live there?" "Well then, I guess I should tell you everything, huh? Well, first off, have you ever heard of the League of Assassins?" He shook his head. "No." Then she continued. "Well, you see, this league is a group of warriors that kill, assassinate people who the world would be better off without. My father is the leader of the league, known as Raz al Ghul, meaning the demon's head. As his daughter, I am the heiress to the demon. The league is greatly feared by the 5 nations, and since they don't have alliance with one another, they know they can't beat the league alone. Now, when I was about 3 years old, my mother, known as Serena Sheen, passed away from a horrible disease. Her final wish was for me to live in the Hidden Leaf and live a normal life that didn't involve with fights and battles. My grandfather, which you have to first promise me that you won't tell a soul." "I promise I won't tell anyone." "Well, he's the 3rd Hokage, here is in Sarutobi, and so he was able to pull some strings for me to get in. I lived in the village for about a year. My grandfather was so kind and I was able to meet the rest of my family. You see, my father never liked the way of the leaf, and even more hated shinobi, so he left the village, and was declared a missing nin. He was then exiled from the clan, not that he cared thought, and so started the league. Life was going on great, until that fateful day. The 9-tailed fox attacked the village, so in order to save it, he sacrificed his life by sealing it into a child, who I don't know. After that, since the village was unstable, my father brought me back, and I started to train in order to become stronger. I guess you could say I blamed myself for not saving my grandfather. And that's my story." She looked at the who she just finished healing. "I'm really sorry for your losses. Both your mom and granddad sounded like nice people. But why are you returning now?" "Well, to be honest, never really technically left. I'm still allowed into the village. I guess it's because I wanted to get stronger on my own. I don't know if you know, but they don't teach you anything useful at the academy. You're going in 4 years, right?" "Yup, that when my so-called parents said that I would be able to start my training, but you're going to help me now, right?" "Of course, these 4 years will be filled with hellish training, but sweet relaxing baths and delicious meals afterwards. Our chef cooks the best meals ever." They both giggled, and then there was a knock on the door. Miley went to answer it, as it turned out to be a maid saying that the bath was ready and handed her Naruto's new set of clothes. "Come on, our bath is ready." He looked at her in embarrassment, then she understood. "Don't worry, we're siblings and still young. We haven't matured yet, so it's alright. If you're not comfortable, then it's okay." He shook his head, and then they took a bath, put their new clothes on, and then went to sleep in her bed. It was the first time in his life that Naruto felt safe, at peace and loved. The next day, Naruto woke up and looked around. He wasn't in his dark cold room, but in a large luxurious room, on a spacious king-size bed. The memories of last night rushed into him and he remembered the most important things. "I have a sister, someone who actually cares." He looked to his right to where she was sleeping, but couldn't find her. "Where did she go?" he thought. "Calm down, kid, she whispered to you while you slept that she would come back." He looked around the room and couldn't find anyone. Who was that? Then he was surrounded by sewage-looking water and a large cage. Well, what do we have here? I guess my jailer decided to honor me with his presence." He looked inside the cage and stammered, "Kei Kyubi? What are you doing here?" Then remembering Miley's story that the 3rd sealed it into a child, he understood. He understood everything. Why the villagers hate him and called him a demon. The thought he was the Kyubi. "I guess you aren't dumb, kid. Sorry you had to go through all that. But I'm glad that girl stopped you in time yesterday. Don't you know that if you die, so die? But then again, you didn't know." Naruto just looked at the fox in shock. "Can I ask, why did you attack the village? You don't seem like a bad fox." Ha 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 kid, you're really something else, aren't ya? Yeah, some blasted Uchiha started to control me, so yeah, it wasn't really my fault. Oh man, I just remembered. The third Hokage died because of you. What am I gonna tell Miley? She would probably hate me and… Stop it kid. The girl is kind and she was telling the truth. Tell her, she'll understand. Now go back, some human is trying to get your attention. He came out of his mindscape and saw a maid coming to his direction. I see you're up. That great, I put your new set of clothes beside you along with a towel and toothbrush to freshen up. Is there anything specific that you would like to have for breakfast? Can I have some ramen please? He asked. Of course, I shall tell the chef immediately. As she was about to walk out the door, he stopped her and asked. Do you know where Miley went? My lady went out in the morning saying she would be back in time for breakfast. It's almost 8 a.m. so she should be arriving once you come downstairs, she replied. Is there anything that I could help you with, my lord? No, but please just call me Naruto. He said, embarrassed that he would be called such a thing. The maid then began to giggle and said as she walked out. You are just like my lady Naruto-sama. He then brushed his teeth, took a bath and then went downstairs. As he was on his way, Miley came in and he was astonished. He was too tired to look at the girl last night, but now he saw a beautiful chocolate brown hair that reached all the way to her ankles. She had dark brown eyes or eyes since the others slightly covered by her bangs. Her skin was flawless and as he looked at her, she smiled a beautiful smile, showing her perfect white teeth. Who knew I was going to kill myself but then end up with such a beautiful sister, he thought. She looked at him and noticed that he wasn't moving, so snapped him out of it by pulling him to the dining hall. Namikaze household. The Namikaze household went about their everyday lives. Going to the backyard, you can see a red-headed woman cheering on her daughter, who looked like a miniature version of her. This woman was Kushina Namikaze and her daughter, Naruko Namikaze. At the young age of 5, she already started her training in order to keep her brother at bay, just in case he ever went berserk. Sitting down there on a chair was the Yondaime Hokage, who his son was a perfect copy of, excluding the 3 whisker-like makers. He was proud of his daughter's strength and power at such a young age. As they went about as a perfect family, they all forgot about their son, brother, who also lived in the house but was denied training, being told his sister needed it more than him. As Naruto, shadow clone that was transformed, came out, he observed what was going on in the house. Miley's clone was going to see how Naruto's life was by getting first-hand experience. Hey, Two-san, he said. His father looked at him and asked, yes, Naruto? His mother and sister stopped and listened to the conversation. Can I please train with my sister? I know you said I would train at the academy, but just a little? I promise not to get in the way? Naruto, I already told you, later. All our attention is needed on your sister. You'll get to train when you start the academy. But why does she needed it more than me? And why do the villagers always beat me and want me dead? He asked in a sad tone. There was silence and then, slap. His face stung and he looked up to see his mother, who had slapped him, looked angry and said, I told you over and over, don't lie to us. Now go outside and before I make you go to your room. She said, Naruto, don't lie about the villagers. We didn't teach you to lie, did we? His father said in a stern manner. The clone couldn't believe what was going on. So before anything could happen, ran outside of the compound and poofed away. Do you think we were a little harsh on him? I guess I shouldn't have slapped him, but he lies all the time about the villagers, they are such nice and kind people. Don't worry Ka-san, he's just jealous that I'm seen as a hero and not him. Naruko spoke up. As much as she wanted to be a brat, she still cared for her brother, but always wondered to why he would lie about the villagers. They gave her so much presents on her birthday. Anyways, let's go back to training. And with that they resumed her training. Back at the mansion, as soon as the clone poofed away, all its memories went back to the original, Miley, and what had happened had shocked her. They would do that to such a sweet boy. And what's this? They're defending the villagers. Oh, these people have another thing coming at them and it ain't gonna be pretty. They were now at the dining hall, and as she looked at her new younger brother, she couldn't help but smile. He looked much more cheerful than when she first met him, but he had a worried expression on his face. What's wrong, bro? Remember I told you that you could tell me anything at all, alright? No secrets between us. He looked at her and smiled. He didn't want to lose her, but wanted her to like him even as a Jinchuriki. He took a deep breath and said, for better or worse, told her about this morning and his encounter with the Kyuubi. He looked at her, thinking that he would see a face of disgust and scorn, but instead her face showed one of realization. That makes a lot of sense, they think that you're the fox itself, ya no, as in human form. But still, that just pure idiocy. You and the fox are two different people, not the same. Why didn't you want to? She was cut off by his hug and sobs. She wondered why he was crying. I thought that you would hate me just like everyone else. I thought that you would blame me for your grandfather's death. I'm sorry, he sobbed. Shish, it's all right. I won't hate you, I promise. It wasn't your fault, you were a newborn, right? Actually, between the two of us, I guess I should be the one saying sorry. He looked at her in confusion, and she continued as she wiped his tears away. My grandfather put the fox in you, which is why you had that horrid life. I'm really sorry. Nope, we didn't do anything. Let's just leave it, okay? Besides, he told me that he was being controlled by an Uchiha. You mean the Kyuubi? Wait, you talked to him? Yeah, he seemed really nice. Thought. Say after breakfast can we start our training? Of course. By the way, my clone just poofed away and I received its memories. Why don't your parents believe you when you say that the villagers want you dead? What kind of parents are they? Forget about them, I mean the Hokage and his family can do whatever they want. I always wanted their acceptance, but now that I have you, I don't care. He had enough and didn't care about his former family. He liked his sister and was content with what he had. They finished their meal and as they were about to leave, one of the maids tripped over and the dishes were about to hit the ground along with the maid herself, but were stopped mid-air. Naruto looked around at the mind-blowing state. He didn't know what was going on until the maid thanked Miley. He turned and saw her head raised in the air, as she gently placed down the maid and the dishes. In an unknown language, thank you my lady, I'm sorry for causing a scene. She bowed. In the same language, it's alright, just be more careful later on. Naruto looked at her from the maid and then again to her. He didn't understand what was going on nor did he know the language. Miley looked at him and smiled. She was going to teach him so much that the other shinobi in the village would envy him. What did you guys say, and what was that power of ours? I've never seen anything like it. I guess I should tell you about my mother's Kekkei Genkai. You see, I am more of my mother than my father, meaning I inherited her clan's Kekkei Genkai, that involves demons. They were all slaughtered though, and when they were going to kill my mother, my father came in time and saved her. I guess that's how they first met and fell in love, but whatever. Anyways, the reason as to why her clan was killed is because they had the strongest powers known to humankind. When I say they can transform into demons, I mean humanoid demons, demons with a human look. What runs through my blood is my mother's demon blood. I can't transform just yet, but I've unlocked most of my powers. One of them was what you saw earlier, telekinesis. Even if I don't transform, I could still use the powers. Other abilities I have are flight, and I'm also immune to poison. Call it weird, but I actually gained power from it. Then I started going out doing missions for the League, and because of my powers and my so-called attitude, when battling, I became known as the She-Devil. It isn't a bad name, but nah, I don't care. Oh, and I almost forgot, I also specialize in swordsmanship. It actually runs in my blood. Both my parents are well known as the best in that field. It's what actually makes people fear my old man. After my mother died, I took her sword and found out something really special about it. It doesn't kill people at all. He looked at her as if she was crazy and then she giggled at his expression and continued as they walked to the combat field. Yeah, I had the same expression at first too, but my dad told me that my mother had a soft heart, that didn't even go hard after witnessing the destruction of her clan, and didn't want to harm people at all. So what her sword does is that, if a person gets stabbed with it, they are in a state of suspended animation. Do you know what that means? He shook his head no. It means that a person is in a state where they are alive but won't wake up. Like a coma? Something like that. During that time however, they are in an amount of unbelievable pain and torture and can only come out of it when the sword had tapped onto their body. However, in order to not fight again, they are immobilized for about an hour's time until they could move again. Then she summoned a sword out of smoke and there was a sword that had the carvings of a dragon in green and silver. This, she said, is my mother's sword, the green dragon blade, and along with my father's sword, the Black Shadow, they are the most legendary swords in existence till today. After her long explanation of what she could do, Naruto just looked at her in awe. He already admired her and now he just respected her more. I have the coolest sister ever. You sure do, kid. If you want I could also help with your training. I don't like those villagers on bit, thinking that I'm a brat human. How pathetic. Hey Q, what's your real name? I don't think Nine-Tailed Fox is your real name. You're a bright boy brat. It's Kuruma. Hey, tell your sis to travel to your mindscape. We should both teach you to get strong. Hey Nei-chan, Kuruma wants to meet you. He said to come into my mindscape. Can you do that? Who's Kuruma? The Kyuubi. Sure, why not? And with that they were inside his mindscape. She looked up and saw a cage, and inside it was the Nine-Tailed Fox. Hey there little girl. Ya know for a little human, you sure are quite kind. Who would have known that such humans existed? Ha ha ha. Anyways, sorry for your loss, but you gonna train this kid, right? Well, I'm gonna help too. It's better than doing absolute nothing all day. You know, you're not that bad, Kuruma. I guess you already know my name and sure you could help with his training. She turned to Naruto and said, Naruto, we are gonna make you into the most envied and respected shinobi that they ever saw. But first tell me, why do you want to train and get stronger? She thought that he might want to think about it, but he gave her a reply, an unexpected and at the same time expected reply. I want revenge. Revenge against every villager that hurt me and against my family who ignored me. I want them to regret what they did to me and make them regret ever neglecting me. He said coldly. Kid, you sure? I'm with you all the way, just don't change your mind later on. Okay then, let's get your training started. 3 years later. 8-year-old Naruto Namikaze was walking down the streets of Konoha. No one dared to approach him, especially with his sister, Miley. Over the past 3 years, she became known as the strongest shinobi in Konoha, after beating every Chunin shinobi in the village. After being insulted as a little girl, only a handful knew she could actually defeat the Hokage but didn't want to humiliate him, and was well respected by the other shinobi and villagers for being able to finish S-rank missions that would usually take up to half a year, a week or two to complete. Her intelligence reports were marked on until the Hokage decided to give all intelligence missions to her. Becoming a Chunin at the age of 9 was something that no one had ever accomplished, making her the youngest Chunin. At first, when they saw her hanging around with Naruto, they would criticize her and call her a demon lover. But word of her being the daughter of the most ruthless and scariest criminal known to mankind made them keep their comments to themselves. As to her promise, Naruto became quite a young shinobi. At a young age, he already demonstrated high understanding skills and was able to learn many things fast. He was a master in every ninja art as well as mastering Kuruma's power. He was taught many different languages, and with that including the secret language of the League. He knew a total of 10 languages in which he could speak, read and write in all fluently. He was taught by both his teachers everything that one could ever need to know. He also learned that the maids and butlers were all a part of the League, and so when Miley was away on a mission, they would teach him medical ninjutsu. The League taught a highly intellectual way of medical ninjutsu, something that he realized could help many shinobi in surviving. He met Raz Al Ghul, her father, a month later, and they hit it off right off the bat. Naruto found out that the man wasn't as scary as people said he would be. They both filled the void they both needed, for Naruto a father, and for Raz the son he never had. He personally taught him Kenjutsu, and on his 6th birthday, it became both memorable and heartbreaking for him. Flashback. It was his 6th birthday party, or should it be called Naruto's party. Everyone forgot about him again. But this time he didn't care. His father then gathered the attention of everyone there and said, "Thank you everyone for coming to our lovely daughter's party. I want to make an announcement that we are going to make her the clan heiress for both the Namikaze and Uzumaki clans." Then there were cheerings and more gifts that were passed around. Jiraiya then let her sign the Toad summoning, and that was when he had enough. He left the room leaving a slam, and then saw Miley down the street looking for him. He ran to her, leapt into her arms and started crying. During his sobs he told her what happened, and she was furious. Haven't these people done enough? She was going to go over and knock some sense into them, but remembered why she was looking for him and shushined into his room. There she wiped his tears and told him that they had an important place to go to. He didn't know where they were gonna go, but anywhere that wasn't here was good enough for him. She put on his suit, quickly fixed his hair and shushined to their mansion. Once they got there, he took a quick glance around and noticed that the mansion was decorated. He looked at his sister, who was also dressed up. She wore a midnight blue dress and her hair was slightly curled. He wondered what exactly was going, until he opened the door and everyone yelled. Surprise! Happy birthday, Naruto! To say he was shocked was an understatement. What he saw in front of him was something he never thought he would ever have. His very own birthday party. He grinned, then smiled, and then broke down in tears. Not tears of sadness but tears of joy. The entire mansion was covered with balloons, streamers, and there was a large colorful and silk-like material banner that had "Happy Birthday Naruto" written on it. The people all there were a part of the league, but he also saw a lot of famous celebrities like actors and actresses. The food buffet had every type of food on it, mostly food he loved, along with new recipes the chef made for him alone, knowing he would like it. All in all, it was a sight to behold for him. Come on, let's have some fun. I hope you like it, bro. Like it. Nate-chan, I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. Let's go open your presents, or actually let's wait till my dad comes. He said he needed a bit more time in getting your present ready. I'm really excited, aren't you? He nodded his head furious, and then the DJ started up the music. There was dances, games, and just the mere fun of actually be crazy. An hour later, her father came indoors, and everyone bowed at his presences. He gave Naruto a hug and wished him a happy birthday and apologized for not being here sooner. He then told him to close his eyes, and once he did and opened, then, there in front of him was a beautifully crafted sword with the cravings of a fox. On the fox were the most rarest gems to humankind. Everyone there looked in awe, and as they looked closer, they saw that the edge of the blade was made out of pure diamond, the same as Ra's al Ghul's sword. I hope you like your sword. I could have sworn that I had enough time to finish it, but at least, he was cut off by a tackling hug from Naruto. Thank you. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. Nate-chan, look, it really nice, isn't it? He asked happily. Yes, it is. You're lucky he made you one. He's too stingy to let make any for anyone. She was happy for him. Not long ago she found him weeping because his heir status was taken from him, and now he was laughing and overall just happy. Now it's my turn. I wanted to be the first person to give you a gift, but because she glared at her father, who had anime tears that his beloved daughter was angry at him, already gave it to you. She took out a scroll, and sure enough it was a summoning scroll. This contract belonged to my mother. She had a summoning contract with the dragons. They didn't just let anyone sign the contract. They believed that you had to be worthy of their power. I asked them to observe you while you trained with me for the past year, and they said they would accept you. They liked the determination in your eyes and your will to never give up. It's up to you if you want to sign it, though. She looked at him, and from the stars in his eyes realized the only words he picked up from her talk were summoning, dragons, and powerful. She sighed and gave him the contract. To say he was thrilled was the understatement of the year. Not only did he get a party, but he also got presents, and on top of that a summoning contract. He might have hated the day earlier, but he loved it now. End of flashback. During the years, Naruto's relationship with his family never improved. Not that he cared, since he had a family of his own now. He still had to live there, but just until he was a genin, then he was gonna move out and live with his sister in her apartment in the village. He already had his own room but had to wait in order to be a genin, meaning he was an adult. He became friends with the Nara and Akamichi clan heirs, and saved the Hyuga clan heir from bullies, resulting in a friendship, secretly each other's crush. Hinata, just like Naruto, was thought to be unfit to being an heir, but her title wasn't taken from her. Miley made it upon herself that she would help Hinata in gaining more confidence, and also trained her as much as she could, since she didn't know much about the Hyuga clan's secret jutsus. Miley and Naruto also became friends with Hanabi, Hinata's little sister, who loved Miley so much that she wouldn't want to part from her. She, along with the other three, were the only ones that didn't fear Naruto as a demon and knew his real strength, which he planned on hiding till the Chunin exams. Miley, being the she-devil she was, tried to do so many fun activities with them in order for the other children in the village to feel left out and jealous. As they were walking down the streets, they were on their ways to the stores. Miley wanted to buy her brother new clothes, since he was starting the academy in a couple of days, so she wanted him to look his best. Once they got there, she made him wear different clothes, until she found the perfect match. She ended up buying him an Enbu-style pants, a black tight t-shirt with a white open shirt and fingerless gloves. For shoes, she bought him the normal shinobi sandals. They left the store and on the way, she was tackled on the floor by none other than Hanabi. She like Hanabi loved the little girl to bits. She was sweet and adorable and wasn't afraid to speak her mind. "Hey there Miley, Naruto, what are you guys doing here?" she asked in a sweet tone. Behind her was Hinata and her mother, who walked up and apologized her daughter's behavior. "I'm really sorry, Hanabi, get up. You don't just tack people on the floor," her mother said. Her mother were one of the few people in the village that Miley respected because she didn't see Naruto as a demon and was kind towards him. Anyone who hated her baby bro was an enemy in her book. "It's alright Lady Hyuga. She's just taking advantage of the fact that I love her to bits," she said as she and Hanabi hugged the dear life out of one another. "Hello Miley, and hello and Naruto-kun," Hinata said as she blushed. Hey Hinata. It was so cute that they liked each other and yet didn't have the courage to just say it. The other three just looked on and giggled at the obvious scene. Her mother didn't mind the fact that she liked the so-called demon and actually encouraged her daughter. "We were doing last-minute shopping for the academy in a few days." "You?" "We were doing the same thing, but for Hinata. I can't go yet because I'm small," she whined. Her mother and Miley laughed. "Don't worry Hanabi, you'll start soon and then be the strongest in your class, right?" Naruto said. He just like his sister loved the little girl. "Come on, we have to hurry before it gets dark." And with that they left. "I'll take the clothes back to your room at my place. You better get going bro. See ya tomorrow, okay?" As much as she hated it when he went home, he had to in order to avoid suspicion and keep up appearances. "Okay Nei-chan, love you." She bent down and kissed his forehead and hugged him and said, "Love you too bro," and then went their separate ways. When he reached his house, he went in and saw his family already eating without him. This was something normal, and since he already ate with his sis, started to go upstairs when he was stopped by the Hokage that called to him. "Naruto, come here and eat with us." He looked at him with a confused look and then said, "I already ate outside." And then continued on his way up. His family, wanted to try to get closer with him when they noticed today that they were closed and he was pushing them away. Earlier that day, Naruto told her parents that she realized she never hung out with her and that she knew next to nothing about her brother. Her parents tried to remember the times they spent with him, but couldn't remember. Kushina broke down crying, saying that she was a horrible mother, and Minato thought the same thing. It was true that they had neglected him for Naruto because they were afraid that he might go berserk, so focused on his sister in order to prevent it. They all thought that they were going to change, especially Naruto. "I'm going to get my brother back." She had stopped her bratty was long ago. So you could imagine their disappointment when he shot them down. But they weren't going to go down yet. After their meal, Naruto spoke up and said, "Say Dad. If we were to let him train with us, do you think that he would accept? I mean he always wanted to." "That's true. Minato, we have to try. He would love to train with us. He always asked. But we would say no," she said the last part sadly. "Alright then, let's call him." "Do you think he's asleep?" he questioned. Just then they heard someone leaving the washroom, so they called him down. "Naruto, come down for a bit. We have something important to tell you," Kushina said with hope in her voice. When he came down, he saw them all waiting for him and smiling, but he gave them a cold stare. They motioned him to sit down, so he sat. "Naruto, we decided to train you along with your sister." "Yeah, Ni-san. Isn't that great? You always wanted To-san and Ka-san to train you, now they are. Let's be the strongest in the academy together," she said hopefully. They all looked at him with high hopes, but unfortunately it was shattered into a million pieces with his reply. "I'm sorry Lord Hokage and Lady Namikaze," he spoke and said with venom, "but the academy starts in a couple of days. You don't have to worry about me. Your family doesn't need extra baggage to pull it down. Now if you excuse me, I will go to sleep." Then he stood up and was about to leave, but Naruto spoke up. "Ni-san, what are you talking about? You're a part of—" She was cut off when he glared at her with cold and lifeless blue eyes and said, "Don't kid yourself, daughter of the Hokage. I was never a part of your so-called family. Stop deluding yourself," he said, and as he started going up the stairs, added one more statement. "Funny, I never really thought myself a part of this family." And he left the Namikaze family brawling on the floor in tears, all thinking the same thing. What have we done? But they all had the same resolve. "I'm gonna get my brother back." Couple days later, Naruto woke up with a start as a voice kept telling him to wake up, and we all know who that is. The hell Q. It's only 6:30 in the morning. The academy doesn't start till 8. Listen kid, if you don't wake up now the other people will try to talk to you again. It's getting really annoying, even for me. It was true. Ever since that day he shot them down, they wouldn't stop bothering him. They would try to talk to him at meals, or greet him when he came home. He was gonna snap, but Kuruma held him back. They also wondered who he hung out with, so when the Hokage's research turned up and that he was always with his most trusted shinobi, Miley, but when he called her in to ask her, she just glared at him and asked not to interfere with her personal life and then left. Naruto woke up, got dressed and then went downstairs and made breakfast. Over the years he bonded with the chef because he loved all his food and the chef was happy that his food was loved, so he taught him how to cook. After he ate, there was a bit leftovers that he covered and left it there in the kitchen. He left his compound just as Kushina woke up. She woke early in order to make a grand breakfast for her children who were starting the academy today. She was surprised when she saw her son and called out, "Naruto, where are you going?" "I'm going to make breakfast." She heard a muffled, "I already ate," then a slam. She sighed. She wanted to get closer to her son, but instead it felt that they were further apart. "Kushina, what was that noise?" she heard her husband say as he came downstairs with their daughter trailing behind him. It was Naruto. He already left saying he ate. "I wonder how though." She said the last part mostly to herself and then heard a scream coming from the kitchen. They ran to see who it was and sure enough they saw their daughter. She walked away while Kushina was talking, eating a plate of food hungrily. She looked up and saw her parents looking at her curiously. "Naruto, what are you eating?" "I didn't leave any food on the counter." "Mom, if you didn't make this then who did?" "It the most yummest thing I've ever tasted." "Come on, try it," she said as she shoved a spoonful of the food in both their mouths before they could say anything. Their eyes widened with ever chew. It was true, it was the most delicious thing that they had ever ate. But the question remained, who made it? Then they all remembered what Naruto said and they realized that he was RHE1 who made it. But how? "Mom, did you teach Ni-san how to cook?" She shook her head no. There was a moment of silence then Minato spoke up. "I think you should get ready Noriko. Since he'd also be there then we can ask him." And with that they got ready to leave. Back with Naruto, he just arrived at his sister's apartment and opened the door and went to her room, only to see the familiar sight of her still asleep. It was a known fact to those who knew Miley, or experienced it firsthand, like a couple of Anbu, that you never wake Miley al Ghul while she's asleep, because if you do, you're in for a lot of hell. He looked at her and decided that he couldn't wait till she woke up and so decided to do what most sane people dreaded, wake her up. "Kid, are you sure? Don't you remember what happened last time when someone tried to wake her up?" Images of the tattered body of the poor Anbu, who was ordered by the Hokage to get her for a mission flashed into their minds. The very thought made them shudder, but it was getting late and so he did what no sane living creature would do, he woke her up. "Nate-chan, wake up. It's my first day of the academy, remember? You said you would go with me." Silence. Nothing was said so he tried again. This time he shook her lightly which was returned with a glare, but when she saw who it was, softened it a bit and asked. "Oi Naru, what did I say about waking me up, huh? Are you trying to get yourself killed? Anyways, you wouldn't wake me up for no reason so what is it?" She looked at him with half-opened eyes that widened when he told her that they were gonna be late. She got ready in 5 minutes time and then shushined to the village market so she could buy some fruits. "Here bro, you're a growing boy so you need these." She handed it to him and then realized the glares around them. This was something she had gotten used to but wondered why she never just killed the bloody morons and get over it. But then that would mean her grandfather's sacrifice would be in vain. "Okay, break it up. We all love Naruto, we get the idea so move along." Some scoffed and was about to say something, but a sadistic grin from Miley shut them up. As they neared the academy they were met with Choji, Shikamaru and Hinata, who just arrived, so the five decided to walk to the academy together. Once they reached there, they saw all the other children and their parents including the Hokages. Everyone just stared at the five. As they were about to enter they heard the others say, "Why is the demon here?" "Shish, don't say that. Look who is with him. She's the strongest shinobi and has won his side. Don't play with him or go near him, okay? He's a demon." The Hokage and his family heard everything and couldn't believe what they heard. Their son, brother was being insulted right in front of them. "Hey, What the hell are you saying about my son? Kushina yelled. She was furious. One of the civilians then came up to the Hokage and said, Hokage-sama, please don't let the demon be a ninja. He was sent flying into a tree. They all looked and saw that it was none other than Miley who did so. She went to him, grabbed him by the hair and said with venom, "Say one more thing out of your filthy mouth and I'll make sure you won't be able to talk again." Permanently. She let go and looked at the other civilians, who were shaking in fear, and said in her demon voice, "If anyone here says that again about my baby bro, I'll make sure you would have wished for death than what I have in store." Then she went back into the academy. The civilians, after a couple of minutes of staying frozen, walked their separate paths until it was just the Hokage's family left. Minato was shocked at the fact of what the villagers said about his son, no less with him there, finally snapped out of it and said, he was telling the truth. The other two just looked at him and said in unison, "What?" He looked at them with tears forming and said, "When GE said that the villagers would harass him, and we would hit him and say he was lying, he wasn't lying, he was telling the truth." With that, Kushina started to cry out loud as she remembered the times he would tell then, and then she would slap him for lying. Naruto couldn't believe it. The villagers who were so nice to her, were Satans towards her brother. "To-san, Ka-san, I'm going to class now. I'm going to protect my brother, know what happens, believe it." They nodded and then went their separate ways. When she entered the class, she saw her brother sitting beside a boy sleeping and a boy eating food. She wanted to sit next to him, but that was already not possible. She looked around and saw a shy, quiet girl and an empty seat next to her, and it was right behind her brother. Perfect, she thought, and sat next to her. As she came closer, noticed that it was the girl she saw earlier with her brother. She sat down next to the girl and introduced herself. "Hey there, the name's Naruto, what's yours?" Now Hinata knew the relationship of Naruto with his parents, but because she was asked by Miley to be nice and act as if she didn't know anything, she tried her best to smile and calmly reply, "Hello, I already know who you are. My name is Hinata." And with that she decided not to associate with her, but Naruto, being herself, continued, "I saw you with my brother this morning. Are you guys friends?" She didn't know how to answer that question, but luckily in came the savior of weird conversation, Miley, and behind her was Iruka, the teacher. Everyone admired her because of her accomplishments, so it would make people feel like the luckiest person on earth if she smiled at them or even talked to them. Unfortunately, Miley, hating the villagers due to what they did to her bro, wouldn't acknowledge any of them, except a few. "Miley, what are you doing here? I don't think you want to come back here again now, do you?" he sighed. Pissed. "Iruka, did you hear yourself? Again? What again? I've never came to this place before. Besides, I came to see my bro and listen to what you have to say to them. If it's useful, then continue on, if not then I have some scrolls one want him to decipher. I'm too lazy to do it myself." She shrugged and then walked towards where Naruto and his friends were. All the while, Iruka had many things going through his mind. Decipher? Who at this age could decipher languages? And who exactly is her brother? He looked up, he saw her walk towards the back, but was shocked, along with everyone else, when he heard, "Oi Nate-chan, the hell you doing here? I thought the Hokage was gonna give you a mission." Naruto was first surprised, and a burst of happiness was inside her when she heard her brother's voice, but it was destroyed instantly when she saw that he wasn't talking to her, but to Miley. "Nate-chan," she thought what everyone thought. "Sorry bro, forgot to tell ya I asked for a day off. I remembered the scrolls I found a couple of months ago and wanted to decipher it. If Iruka's teaching things you already know, then see me at the back, okay?" He nodded and then she went to sit at the back. "Hey Naruto, isn't Naruko your sister? Why are you calling her that?" barked Kiba. Everyone looked at Naruto, curious at his answer, even Iruka and Naruko, but were surprised when they saw him laughing in tears. When he finally calmed down, he said, "Don't kid yourself. I've never seen her or her parents as family," he said with disgust. This got everyone wondering the status of the Hokage's family, everyone except Shikamaru, Choji and Hinata. Putting on her headphones, Miley started to work, as if it was a normal thing to do. She looked up and saw that they didn't start, so said, "Yo Iruka, I think you should start your lesson now. I want my bro to come help me with this." Then went back to deciphering the text. Soon enough the class began, and as soon as the first subject was over, she motioned Naruto to come to the back. Iruka saw this but let them be, for he was curious what the Hokage's eldest could actually do. While the class was given work to do independently, he walked over to where Naruto and Miley were deciphering the scrolls and was surprised. He saw Naruto writing down the translated meaning down with ease, and didn't have to look at the books they had right by them. He saw them comparing and asking one another things, as if they were fascinated by what they found. This can't be work that the Hokage gave them. Does he even know about his son being able to read ancient languages? He thought as he looked over their shoulder. He was shaken out of his thoughts when he heard. "Sup Iruka, you finding our work interesting?" she asked. "I was just wondering, how do you know how to decipher such old and ancient languages? Especially you, Naruto?" Now all eyes were on him. Even Naruto wanted to know the full capacities of her brother's secret skills. All she knew now was that it had something to do with Miley. "My sister taught me. It's pretty simple really, and no, the Hokage never asked us to decipher them." He got a surprised look from Iruka, then turned to Miley, who nodded, allowing him to continue. "It's something we do for fun, like a hobby. Some contain stories of the past, or cultures of extinct clans. Some even mention the existence of clans that no one knew ever existed. That's usually for two reasons. One is that they're long gone, and the second is that they are in hiding. Nate-chan usually looks for them when she goes out for missions, so yeah." When he finished, they all either looked at him with respect, admiration, jealousy, or didn't care. "Yeah right, some demon like you wouldn't be smart. You baka," screeched a certain pink-haired banshee. "Yeah, Sasuke-kun is much better than you, demon." That and various things were being said by Sasuke's fan group, along with some of the other students, but were silenced when they felt a monstrous killer intent coming from Miley, which shut them up. "How much languages do you know, Naruto?" Iruka asked with curiosity, but was cut off by the bell. "I guess that's something you won't know, right Naru?" He nodded and then proceeded to pack up and leave. "I must tell the Hokage about this. His son is a genius. He doesn't need to be at the academy." After the children started to leave, he saw the Hokage and his wife at the entrance of the academy, probably here for their children. He went up to them and was about to tell them about Naruto, but stopped when he glanced at him from behind the Hokage and shook his head, meaning don't tell them. He didn't, but wanted to know why his relationship with his family was bad, when he noticed them looking at his with guilt. The next day, Miley needed to go on a mission, so in the middle of the class she came in through the window, with a stack of books and scrolls, and said, "In League language I need you to decipher these, Naru. I did some and I think it's a story, it's real interesting, so hurry." "In League language, come on sis, I wanted to sleep through the class, can't we do it when you get back?" "In League language, no, my mission is about a week or two, give or take, long, and I want to read it when I get back." "In League language, fine, but you owe me some ramen." "Thanks bro, oh and don't forget to clean my place, you already have the keys." "Hell, no. Fine, I hate you so much, ya no," he said as he grinned. She laughed and kissed him on the forehead and then said, "Love you too bro," and then shushined away. He turned to the stack given to him, sighed, and then went to the back to work on it. They just had their entire conversation in the middle of class and went about as if it was nothing. Of course the three already knew and so wasn't as shocked. Iruka just had one thing in his mind. These are gonna be a really long 4 years. 4 years later, it was finally the day that the students at the academy would graduate and finally become ninjas. Throughout the years, Naruto would hardly be a part of the class and would either train with Kuruma in his mindscape. Nobody knows that he knows about the Kyuubi, decipher scrolls, or just sleep. Iruka didn't mind because he would had perfect scores on all his tests. He was later told by Miley, secretly although Naruto was informed, about the relationship about his family, and to say he was shocked was an understatement, so he agreed to only to report about his grades, only when asked. To keep Naruto shut up and the other class members, a genjutsu was placed over them, making it look like he was paying attention. The treatment of the villagers didn't any better, nor did the treatment he received from his classmates, but he didn't care. Today was the day that he would become a ninja, aka be an adult, aka he could move out and live with Miley. He dreamed of this day for so long. He went into the academy, and since it was still early, no one was there. He took a seat and waited for the others to get here. Since they were going to take tests in ninja skills, the parents of the students were all coming to watch their children, meaning the Hokage and his wife as well. The past 4 years have been difficult for them when they tried to bond with Naruto, but because he didn't know a single thing about him and he never helped, so they were back to square one. Soon everyone came in and Iruka was going to start the test. Hinata came in and sat beside him. She also became more confident over the years and, like Naruto, is hiding her strength because Miley doesn't want people to know that she can train people, since she refused so many requests. Speaking of Miley, she became the village's beauty with everyone asking for her hand in an engagement, but would be politely declined. She would literally beat the crap out of them. Some even ended up in the ICU. Naruto once asked why she didn't get a boyfriend or even if she wanted one, which she declined, saying it would take too much of her time and didn't really find anyone worth it. Once the parents came in which the Hokage and his wife smiled and waved at Naruto, who in return just ignored them. This didn't go unnoticed by the other parents and clan leaders. Iruka started the written part of the test. Before he could say begin, all shinobi parents and Anbu there that were guarding the Hokage got into a fighting stance. Naruto first ignored it but turned around with a smile when he recognized the chakra and voice. "Would you people be so kind and put away your toys? They could seriously hurt someone," said Raz Al Ghul. Everyone was terrified and at the same time wondering what exactly he was doing here. "What do you want, Raz? You don't have permission to come in the village," the Hokage said. "Oh, but on the contrary, I do, Hokage." Now this got people curious, some even glaring at the Hokage, thinking that he gave him permission. But before anything could be said, a voice was heard. "Tu-san, don't you think you could have at least come with Miles? She said she was going to come too. Now you made a big scene." People turned their heads to see Naruto talking to Raz and were shocked, but not as shocked as when they heard him addressing him as Tu-san. This broke the Hokage's heart into a million pieces but also got him wondering how he knew him. "Your sister was asleep and I didn't want to wake her. You know very well as I do what happens to a person when they try to wake her up. But don't worry, if she said she'll be here, then she will. I seriously don't know why you're still here in this bloody hell or even come to the academy in the first place," he said as he looked at everyone there with a disgusted face. "To be honest, I would have left, but I have really important people here, and besides, before I make the villagers feel pain and torture, if my very existence to them fulfills that for the meantime, then I'll take it. Anyways, we were gonna start the written test until you showed up with your grand entrance. There are seats over there for parents that you could seat at," he said. They were having a normal conversation, as if nothing was wrong, which made the onlookers sweat drop. Before Raz went to his seat, he looked at Iruka and walked up to him and did what no one expected. "I apologize for taking up your time. You may begin your tests for the students as I won't interfere again. As you can see, I came to see my son take his tests." And then walked away. Everyone was beyond shocked. His son. But before they could say a thing, Iruka told them to start. After 5 minutes into the test, Naruto was done, so he flipped over his paper and put his head down. Many of the parents saw this and thought he was being lazy, but Iruka and Raz knew better and smiled. After the tests were collected, they moved outside, for their ninja skills. That's when our lovable brunette finally arrived. She looked at her father and walked towards him with a glare. Naruto started to giggle along with his friends, which got people looking at them. "Shikamaru, what's so funny?" his dad asked, as everyone anticipated his reply. "Dad, it's too troublesome to explain, just watch," he said and pointed to a scene where Miley held her father by the collar and starting ranting in the League's language. No one understood except Naruto, which got them looking at him as if he was crazy when he burst into laughter. Hinata, Choji and Shikamaru knew what was going on and also started to laugh, but not as hard as Naruto. When she finished her ranting, which was about her father keeping her and not walking her up, she shooed him away out of the academy, much to the relief of many there. To others though, especially the shinobi, were amused that Raz could go so low as being belittled by his daughter and look so helpless. When he was gone, she saw Naruto and ran up to him, giving him a hug and a kiss on the forehead. She then graded the other three and went to go sit with Makoto, after being scowled by Iruka for making a scene. She was friends with Makoto since she went on missions with Itachi and Shisui Uchiha, but unlike any of the other girls in the village, she didn't have a crush on either one of them. She actually considered them her friends, mostly Shisui though. She saw Itachi as a jerk sometimes, and would usually tell his fangirls where he was just to get back at him. As she sat down, Hanabi came and tackled her with a hug, in which she returned. "Nay Miley, can I listen to some music on your player, please?" she asked. Man, she was adorable. Of course. Here. Then she proceeded to take off the player strapped on her left arm and gave her the headphones around her neck. She hoisted her up on her lap, just as the kunai and shuriken throwing had begun. She felt a dark killer intent that was aiming towards her, and as she looked around, she saw it coming from Naruto's same blood but not related sister. She smirked at her and just ignored it. Naruto didn't like the fact that her brother was acknowledging someone else as his sister, let alone a well-known murderer as a father. She saw her parents' hurtful and guilty looks and couldn't take it anymore. They tried for the past 4 years and it felt like they were further apart than before. All she was asking for was a chance, but she didn't know why he didn't give it to them. It was finally Naruto's turn, and you could hear the laughter and hurtful words that were being said by the other children. A wave of killer intent from Miley shut them up as well as gave shivers to the adults, except Makoto, Hanabi, making her father wonder how she could stay calm and continue listening to music, and her mother. They were already used to it. Naruto smiled when he heard his sister cheer for him aloud. She could be childish at times, but that was one of the reasons he loved her. He took his stance and threw the kunai and shuriken, hitting a perfecting 10 as he left, leaving a silently shocked crowd of parents and students. This again got him some cheers from his friends, Miley and Hanabi, except Shikamaru, saying it was too troublesome but smiled nonetheless. The Hokage and his family were more or less shocked but happy he passed and proud. Next it was the fights between the students. Naruto looked at Miley, who shook her head. This meant not to kill any of the students and not to show too much power. He pouted but agreed. "Miley, who do you think is going to win the matchups?" "A lot of the students are clan heirs," Makoto asked. "Makoto-san, to be honest, the only people I believe should actually be clan heirs are the Akamitsuki heir, the Nara heir, and especially the Hyuga heir. Every other one of them have an issue that if they don't resolve, would lead to their downfall," she said as she analyzed the current fight between two unknown fights. Now this got some of the Seikon leaders angry, except the said clans, but left the Hyuga leader confused about his daughter. "Are you trying to say that my Kiba isn't good enough to be a leader?" yelled Kiba's mother. "No woman, don't put words in my mouth. I said if they don't change then they won't be fit. Kiba, you say? His downfall is that he jumps right at the problem without knowing what the situation is. If he becomes a leader with that brain, then you could kiss the existence of your clan bye-bye. What about my daughter, Naruko? She is the daughter of the Hokage. Let me cut you off right there, Kushina-san. First off, that title was taken from your eldest to your youngest, which doesn't make sense at all. This had different effects of shock, sadness and guilt by the people listening." Then she continued. "Secondly, your daughter boasts about her parents' status and using it for her success. Using accomplishments of others doesn't make you a good leader. What is going to do when she's in Kumo and tries to get free by saying, 'My father is the Hokage,' imitates voice? It'll get her killed, that's for sure. Then what about my daughter?" says a woman. "And who, if I may ask politely, the hell is your daughter?" Sakura Haruno. "Who?" She looked confused, trying to remember who that was. "Miley, nay, it's the screaming banshee," said Hanabi, who momentarily took off the headphones and then put them back on. Ooh, the screaming banshee. She's your daughter. Man, I would totally understand if your earbuds bursts. She is so freaking loud and it's so annoying. Especially since the only reason she's at the academy is because of Makoto's son. The only thing I think you should do is pray. Pray that she comes back to you alive," she said as she put a reassuring hand on the paled woman's shoulder and then let go. "And why do you think that Hinata is fit to be the Hyuga heir?" Hiyashi asked as he wondered what this girl saw in his weak daughter. "Lord Hyuga, I don't think she's fit to be heir. I think that she's perfect. She's kind and compassionate and would only make judgments when she experienced the situation or takes to the person personally, not to mention that she is powerful. I bet that she could beat any Hyuga that isn't you on a one-on-one match," she said confidently. He looked at her with suspicion. His daughter? Were they speaking of the same Hinata? WGO couldn't even beat Hanabi. She saw this and smiled. "Hiyashi-san, there is more than meets the eye with Hinata. That's all I can tell you." Then turned her attention to the current match. The current matchup was between Sasuke and another student. Then she remembered that she didn't see Itachi for a while, so decided to ask. Say Makoto-san, I didn't see Itachi for the past couple of months, where is he? Did he go on a long mission? Now that I think about it, I haven't seen Shisui either. Do you know where they are? She looked and saw a sad expression with a mixture of surprise. Don't you know? Shisui was killed and she was cut off. What? Calm down. They say the one who did it was my son, Itachi. She looked away with shame, but looked back when she heard laughter. Ha ha ha, what has this village become? First abusing a little boy and now lying that a person killed his friend. Ha ha ha. Everyone just stares at her. Don't laugh, you brat. It took a lot for my wife to tell you that and you're laughing? How dare you? Yelled an enraged Fukagu. She looked at Makoto and saw her about to be in tears. No, I didn't mean it like that. Makoto-san, do you really believe that Itachi actually killed his best friend? I remember he and Shisui were best friends and nothing could come between them. Damn, this village is something else, ain't it? What are you telling me that you believe he didn't kill him? I thought so too, but he left the village before I could ask. She said with a bit of hope. Makoto-san, I'd bet my life on it. Itachi and Shisui were my best friends. When I first came to the village when I was 4, they were the first friends I made, and hell, they were friends before that. She gave Makoto a new sense of hope. Hope to look for evidence that her son was innocent. Makoto-san, if you need my help, please ask. You should be careful. In this village, there are dark forces that cover up such things, and I doubt that they wouldn't try to get you K8LLED if you find the truth. Danzo, she thought. Thank you. Sniff, thank you so much, Makoto sobbed. Miley held her and also cried for her dead friend. She finally snapped out of it when she heard the finally fight. It was Naruto versus Naruto. Naruto was going to use this opportunity to reach her brother. They both went into their 15 stance and were told to begin. Ni-san, let's make a bet. If I win, then you have to give us a chance, okay? She knew her brother didn't get any training. Even her parents smirked their daughter's brilliant plan, so she was bound to win but didn't expect his reply. And if I win? If I win, then you and your family will never bother me again, alright? She knew she wasn't going to lose, but the confidence in his voice made her shaky. She nodded and then attacked. She went in for a punch, but he easily held it and punched her in the stomach, causing her to fly into the academy wall, unconscious. Winner Naruto Namikaze, said a satisfied Iruka. He knew Naruto was going to win, but not so easily. He wished that he at least let the girl show some of her skills. His parents, along with everyone else there, except a few, were shocked. Their hero was defeated by the demon? Who will protect us now? Were what some thought. Naruto just left the field as if nothing happened and was greeted by smiles from his friend. He sat beside Sasuke, who also knew about Naruto's true strength. Well, not all of it, just that he's hiding it, and the two had a level of respect towards one another. Then the Hokage gave his speech and handed each genin their headbands. When he reached Naruto, the boy didn't take another glance as he took his headband and walked over to where Miley was. Before they left, the teams were assigned, but all he heard, much to his disappointment, was Team 7 Sasuke Uchiha, Naruto Namikaze, Sakura Haruno and Naruto Namikaze. Chunin Kakashi and Kushina. Damn that Hokage. He's trying to get you guys together by putting you on the same team. He sure is using his power for the wrong thing. I know Q, where was that power when I was getting harassed the villagers? Tisk, the nerve. He just glared at the Hokage and his family and walked up to them and said to Naruto, "Don't forget our deal," then walked away. She began to cry and cry because it was now her fault that they weren't going to be a family anymore. Her mother began to calm her and they walked back to the classroom. There the teams were being pucked one by one. Finally Kakashi arrived. "My first impression of all of you. I hate you. Meet me on the roof in 5. And then shushined to the roof. Naruto did the same as he told Sasuke to grab on, leaving the 3 females in the class. When they arrived, Kakashi was surprised. "How do you know that jutsu?" "It's AC-ranked jutsu," he questioned. Naruto just shrugged it off and didn't reply. Soon enough the other 3 came. "Naruto baka, don't just leave us there." Sakura screamed as she was going to hit him, but he grabbed her arm and tightened his grip. "Try that again, I'll make sure you don't have an arm to swing," he said with dull lifeless eyes and venom as she winced in pain. He let go as she nodded. Well then let's introduce ourselves and tell our likes, dislikes and hobbies along with what our dreams are. I'll go first, just like in anime. Now your turn, Pinky. My name is Sakura Haruno and my likes are giggles and my dislikes are Naruto Baka and Ino Pig. And my dream is giggles. Everyone just sweat drops. What a sad girl, he says as he shakes his head. You're right about that Q. Now you redhead. My name is Naruko Namikaze. My likes are my family and this village. My dislike is that my brother hates me and my parents and it's my dream that I'll bring him back to our family. She and Kushina look at him but sadden when he scoffs and looks away. What's wrong with their family? The others thought. Say Naruto. How come the villagers call you a demon? I mean it's not like you did something towards them, right? Sasuke asks. He's been wondering this from the beginning of the academy but because Miley was with him, and he was afraid of her, he couldn't ask, thinking now was the best time. Don't ask him such questions. Just know that he isn't a demon, he's my son. Kushina said. I'll tell you. Witchy got worried looks from the Junins and Naruto since she already knew. Sakura wanted to know too. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. My likes are my father Roz and my sister Miley. My dislikes are this village and the Hokage's family. My dream is to get back at everyone who has ever wronged me and protect the one person who was there for me in my hour of darkness. And to answer your question Sasuke, the villagers hate me because I have the nine-tailed fox sealed inside of me. I am a Jinchuriki, he said as he looked at him. But WHT would they hate you? You're literally hold the demon from getting out. They should be thanking you, not the other way around. He couldn't believe it that the villagers were such idiots. Naruto smiled and said thanks. He never thought that there would be someone like him in the village. Another friend won't be so bad, right? It's up to you kid. Now leave me alone, I want to sleep. Lazy fox, and then cut the connection. After an awkward silence Kakashi said, meet us tomorrow at the training grounds at 6 AM for your test. And then shushined away. Naruto looked at Sasuke, who was trying to get Sakura off of him and asked. Do you want to hang out? Sure. Anyone else? He hoped Miley wasn't there. Just Miley and I think Hanabi. Come on, Miley isn't scary. She's actually friends with your brother Itachi and now that we're friends, she'll like you. He hesitated but then grabbed on and then they shushined away leaving a screaming Sakura. At train ground 7, you could see two brunettes, one short the other tall, dancing freestyle to an upbeat song and singing along. Just then, a blonde and raven appeared and looked at the awkward yet familiar sight. They didn't realize they were being watched until they heard a rather loud cough. Nei-chan, Hanabi, why do you guys always do this at a training ground? It's meant for training not whatever it is you guys were doing, said the blonde as he sighed. We are training Naru, right Hanabi? Yeah, we're training in dancing, she said as they both giggled. Naruto just facepalmed and then remembered the raven beside him. Glanced to his side, there enough was the shaking and sweating raven. He was terrified by her presence and was internally cursing Naruto for bringing him here. Calm down Sasuke. Trust me, you'll remember this day and wonder why exactly were you scared. He whispered, gaining nod, they proceed. Nei-chan, I want you to meet a new friend, Sasuke. He has your belief that the villagers should be thanking me and not the other way around. Wait, you told him? Then he must be good. Hey there Sasuke, the name's Miley. I think I saw your match earlier. I can tell that you have a lot of potential. But Sasuke, she looked at him. I heard that name before oh yeah. Itachi told me all about you. You're his brother, huh? Funny you don't look like a jerk, which could be said for your brother. She said as she laughed. Sasuke just looked at her dumbfounded. This was a girl that never fanned over him, let alone his brother. He then remembered his brother talk about a weird girl who was like that. Ni-san, I think I found the weird but nice girl you loved talking about, he thought as he looked at her. Just then a shinobi Hyuga came to take Hanabi home and after saying their goodbyes, Miley turned her attention to the two boys in front of her. Well come on Naru, we've been waiting for this day for so long, remember? Remembering they sped along to the Namikaze household, Sasuke right behind them. What are you guys doing? What exactly is today for, besides graduating? Moving, they said in unison and then took turns explaining their plan over the years. When they were done, they found themselves in front of the household. They went inside and were met with faces of Minato and Kushina. Naruto, we wanted to congratulate you today for becoming a genin today, But why did you say that your name was Uzumaki? You know very well it's Namikaze, his mother said. Because Kushina-san from today on I changed it to Uzumaki. They looked sad but he continued to taunt them. Why the long faces? I thought you would be happy to be related to a demon and extra baggage. Now if you excuse me, I need to go pack my things. He started to walk off but heard. Pack? Where are you going? This is your home, Minato started. No it isn't. It never was and it never will be. They both looked dismayed. Minato looked at Miley, who just smirked. This all your fault. What have you done to our son? He yelled. By now Naruto came down. She just missed Naruto as he entered his room. She started to listen to the conversation. Me? Hokage, you must be confused. I gave him a home. I gave him companionship. I gave him a family. I made him into the son you are so proud of tight now. Do you know? That night on his 5th birthday when we first met, he was covered in cuts, stabs and broken bones. I healed him, and in order to avoid suspicion I sent a clone. He told me about the villagers and how you people, his own family, never believed Jim. So I wanted to experience firsthand. And guess what? He was right. Do you remember when I asked and you, she pointed an AC using finger at Kushina, just slapped him and told him to leave? Do you even know what he was going to do that night? So don't you dare say it's my fault because it's all yours. They shrunk down from the ranting girl and slowly remembered that day. Just then Naruto came back down and as they were going to leave was stopped. Naruto, please wait. We're really sorry that we ignored you. And I know we made a bet, please tell me. Why won't you give us a chance? Yes please son, just one chance to prove that we're sorry. Please, Kushina pled. Do you remember what you would do to me when I begged you to train me or to spend time with me? I pleaded just as you are now, just for a chance let me give you what you gave me. He walked up to her, Kushina, and as she lifted her head, went in to slap her, but his hand was caught. Sai, come on bro, let's just leave. We don't need a dramatic scene everywhere we go. Sasuke, who watched the whole thing unfold, didn't expect Naruto to actually go and about to slap Gis mom. And with that they left. The Namikaze couldn't believe what was going to happen. He was going to slap mom, me, her, they all thought. Mom, are you alright? He wasn't going to do it, right? It was just a joke, right? She said as she smiled sadly at her mother, who was sobbing tears. He's right. Every time he would want our attention, I would slap him. He should have just slapped me. I deserved it. Oh, what kind of mother am I? She sobbed. Don't worry, if I get Miley to help, I know we might actually have a chance. Minato thought. He realized that the only person who could help them now, was the person he trusted the most. As they neared Miley, and now Naruto's apartment, Sasuke finally spoke up. Were you really gonna slap her? I know you don't get along, but was it really necessary? I didn't really mean to. It's just my anger got better of me, that's all. He said as he laughed awkwardly and scratched his head. Come on you two, now that everything is set and right in the world, let's go back to the main house. I already got our baths ready and the chef is making dinner to celebrate your success to becoming genin. He's even making desserts. Isn't that great? She squealed. If there's one thing that she was a sucker to, it was desserts, especially cakes. Offer it to her and she would anything you ask. Me too? Asked Sasuke. Duh, of course. We're friends now, right? She closed the door behind her and they shushed into the main house. They were greeted by the maids and butlers. Sasuke was surprised that they were calling Naruto, Naruto-sama. What are you, royalty? He joked. Actually, yes, since I'm her brother. He said deadpanned. Alright boys, I'm going upstairs so Naruto show your friend around. Come on, it's really big. I got lost a couple times when I first came but not anymore. Hey, can I ask you something? He nodded. Do you think that Miley would train me, just like she trained you? He asked. He wanted to get stronger and knew she was the key to it. Well sure, but she has to see you determined. I don't know if you've noticed but the only people she's ever trained are me and Hinata. Oh, and she promised Hanabi when she gets older. She does have a soft spot for that girl, he said amused. Wait, did you say Hinata? I didn't know that, he exclaimed. That's because it's a secret. Oh well, even if Miley doesn't train you, you could ask one of the maids or butlers here. Why would I ask a servant? I think I'm far better already. He scoffed. I don't think so since they're all a part of the league, meaning they have that training. He looked at him and saw his eyes bogged out. He started to laugh so hard. Man, you should have seen your face just now. It was hilarious. he said in between laughs. Just then, maid came in with drinks for the boys. Congratulations on your achievement today, Naruto-sama. You can now live with my lady now. I'm really happy for you. She bowed. Thanks a lot, Alex. I've been waiting so long for this day. Oh, and I made a new friend. This is Sasuke. Sasuke, this is Alex, one of my special people in life. He said, grinning his fox-like grin. The maid bowed again and then walked away. She congratulated you on moving out but not on being a genin? Sasuke thought aloud. Naruto just chuckled and said, they all know about my problems in the village and that I'm stronger than any Chunin in the leaf. It's why they all hate the leaf. Anyways, I'm too lazy to give you a tour. How about we watch a movie before Miles comes back down? They're over there. Just pick one and let's watch it. He said, pointing to a shelf that was loaded with movies. As Sasuke went through them, he realized that all the movies there were horror movies. What the hell is up with these people? Hey, what's up with all the horror movies? We both like watching them. It's fun, since none of them really scare us. He shrugged. He picked one, and as they were in the middle of watching it, Miley came back down, her hair soaked in a towel around her neck. Oh, you came out. Yup. Now let's go, you two. Time to take a bath. Oh, and Sasuke, you're staying the night. I already told your mother, so don't worry. Besides, don't you guys have a test tomorrow? They nodded, and just as they were leaving, Sasuke gathered all his courage and asked the terrifying girl. Miley, do you think you could train me? He closed his eyes waiting for impact, but nothing came. Instead, sure, why not? Remembering your fight, I could tell you have a lot of motivation and potential. But let me ask you, why do you want to be strong? He blinked. He didn't really know. Then he looked at Naruto and knew. I want to beat him on a one-on-one match. I know he's hiding his strength, he said as he pointed an accusing finger at Naruto. Alright then, that's actually pretty good. Two of my students as rivals. But you can't really beat him now. He has Kuruma's power all mastered. Unless what? Are you saying that there's a way to beat him even with the fox's power? Now he looked excited. Yeah, but I need to do a lot of research to help you. I think Kuruma can help too, right? She got a nodded from Naruto and then turned back to Sasuke. Have you ever heard of the Rinnegan? Rinnegan? What's that? Is that like the Sharingan? He questioned. Do you even know what the Mangekyo Sharingan is? He shook his head no. Boy, did she have a lot to teach him. So she started to explain both eyes to the boy, and to say he was fascinated was an understatement. Did Itachi know all of this? He wondered. Yup, he did. Actually, he already has the Mangekyo Sharingan. He sighed. Don't worry, when I'm done with you, the both of you would be on a totally different level than the other genins. They would be so jealous. She smirked and laughed evilly. The others just thought, pure evil. They started their training immediately, first starting with chakra control. She realized he was horrible, so told Naruto to give him some tips as she went to get a snack. When she arrived, which was surprising 4 hours later, he had managed to go up the tree in the back gardens. Then they started to work on the walking on water technique, which was relatively easy considering he had the chakra control done. After that she called it a day and told them to finally take a shower. They were given new sets of clothes, then came down to eat dinner. Sasuke was starting to fit in easily around the place. He liked it, and over the small amount of time they were together, the two boys bonded pretty well, talking and joking as if they were friends forever. He loved the food and oddly thanked the chef later on. Sasuke Uchiha thanked the chef. When they were done, they went to sleep for the next day. The next day, they woke up, took a bath and then came down to eat. Wait, we were told not to eat anything, remember? Sasuke said. It's alright. I've seen Kakashi do the belt test multiple times. It's just a scam. Besides, how would you fight with an empty stomach? With that said, he sat down and ate his food. Then they shushined back to Konoha. It was now about 8 a.m. They went to the field and saw just Naruto and Sakura there. You're late, screeched Sakura as she pointed to Naruto. It's not late if the Chunin aren't even here, little girl, said Miley with disgust in her voice. Sakura just backed down, terrified of the girl. Where did you guys go anyways? Naruto asked. She didn't like the fact that Miley was here. That's none of your business, Miley snapped. They both had mutual hate towards one another. Just then Kushina came, dragging Kakashi by the ear. Sorry we're late, she said, then saw Miley. She narrowed her eyes. You could literally see the words hate in her eyes. What are you doing here? She questioned. Hey, does everyone here have a problem with my sister? Naruto mumbled. Chill out would you? Why do all these people hate me? I mean I know I'm great, don't hate. Just answer the question. Alright, I was just dropping of Naruto and Sasuke. They spent the night at my place and yes Makoto-san already knew. Now if you excuse me, I have some research to do. She looked at Sasuke, ruffled his hair. Don't worry, I'll get all the necessary information. Until then it's our little secret. She winked and then shushed away, leaving a screaming Sakura, about leaving her Sasuke alone and a smiling Sasuke. Anyways let's get the test started. He explained the test and the punishment. Now, begin. They all scattered in different hiding spots, except Naruto who stood there with his hands in his pocket without a care at the world. The two Chunin sweat dropped. Naruto, aren't you going to hide? Asked Kushina. There's no point in hiding when you already know where we're going to be. But I guess that could be arranged. He then shushed away to where Sasuke was and told him of the plan. He located the other two and also told them. They executed their plan and managed to get the bells. They passed and so went to the Hokage Tower for some D-rank mission. They were given the mission of getting the demon cat Tora. When they were about to leave, Kushina stayed behind to talk to her husband. Seeing this, Naruto also stayed behind and said he would catch up. When they left, he turned to Kushina and walked up to her. She was expecting him to finish what he was going to do but instead was shocked. He bowed and said, I apologize for my actions yesterday, Kushina-san. What I did was something of the spur of the moment and I let my anger get the best of me. He straightened up and looked into her tearing eyes and said, once again, I apologize. And walked away. Just then Team 7 came back, with Jiraiya this time with them and looked at the scene of Kushina on the verge of tears and Naruto about to leave. What's going on here? Jiraiya said. Naruto wait, I know we weren't the best parents but please listen. There is no excuse to what we did to you, it was unfair and unjust. But please just one chance won't hurt right? Minato begged. They were shocked that the Hokage was down on his knees begging. Realizing what was going on, Jiraiya spoke up. Oi Naruto, it wasn't your parents' fault. I was the one who told them to postpone your training. See, your sister was the child of prophecy, so I told them to focus on her. Just then Miley came in the office yelling. Hokage, I have some woa, why the hell are there so much people? Noticing Naruto and Sasuke. Hey there little bro and little bro's friend. Aren't ya getting your first mission today? And why in the world is the Hokage on the floor? Get yourself up dude, you're the leader. You're not supposed to be on the floor. Oh hey there Jiraiya, how's OT been? Still being a pervert? Asked all childish like. Miley, can't you read the situation in here? Jiraiya sighed. Sorry dude, so what's up? The Hokage and his family are trying to get their son back into the family and he isn't responding. Kakashi explained. Oh, looking at Naruto, she saw his fist clenched and seething anger. She held his hand and as he looked at her, she smiled. Let it all out bro. Okay? I know they don't deserve it, but let them know exactly what they did wrong. Let them feel the same pain that you felt all those years, okay? Don't worry, I'll stay here with you all the way. So just let it all out. He smiled, took a deep breath and then began. Do you really think that because you didn't train me is why I hate, no despise, you right now? They nodded, feeling a little hurt, well it isn't. You said that she prophecy child and I understand that you needed to train her, but did it mean to ignore me? Did it mean that I was to be neglected? To be forgotten? That even in the mornings a simple hello or how was your day son couldn't be spared? That I was to be seen as a liar? All I wanted was to be acknowledged, to know that my family still loved me, to know that I still existed, but then the very same family that was to take my side and doubted me, took the side of the villagers? Every day I would come home half dead, after being beaten by the villagers and when coming back home, to a place where I'm supposed to see as a sanctuary becomes a living hell itself. You wouldn't believe me of the villagers' treatment yet you still don't wonder or have an explanation to the cuts and bruises that are visibly shown all over my body? You're the Hokage. Isn't it the Hokage's job to find the truth? Did you look at the medical records in the hospital? How did you come to the conclusion that I was lying? Did you know that the very same shinobi that are under your command would turn smirk and turn a blind eye when I asked for their help? Some would laugh and even help the villagers. At the age of 5, when I meet Miley, do you know what she saved me from? Do you? They shook their heads. Already sobbing, she saved me from myself, from killing myself on my birthday. The day where I'm supposed to have a party, presents, a celebration. Instead, I got nearly killed and didn't want to live anymore. But then she stopped me." He pointed and smiled at Miley, who everyone looked at, in tears, and she picked up the life I wanted to throw away. She gave me a home, a family, people I could rely on. She gave me a purpose in this world. She stood up for me when even the world was against me, yet she still stayed by my side, while my blood-related family chose to abandon me. My very first birthday party was given to me by her. She gave me her most prized possession, her mother's summoning scroll, showing that she trusted me, something you couldn't do. At the age of 5, I gave up on life and giving you a chance to make amends. At the age of 6, I decided to give you guys another chance. That led to my own humiliation of being stripped of my title of heir, and at the age of 7, all hope that you, my family, of actually loving me or cared for me disappeared. You say you want to make amends, yet you don't know the root of the problem. You say that I didn't give you a chance, yet I already gave you two. You may see me as your son, but just as flowers don't get to choose where they grow, children don't get to choose their parents. So please, stop trying. All it's doing is making me hate you more. He glared at them with a huge killer intent, half of his usual, and then went to Miley. The 3 family members, including Joraria, were sobbing uncontrollably. They didn't know that his pain was this great. God, they didn't even know he was going to commit suicide. Kakashi, along with the rest of the team, couldn't even believe that he went through this much. Even Sakura felt like crying after hearing his story. Single quote. No wonder they're so close, everyone thought as they looked at Miley hugging Naruto as they were leaving the door. Let's go, we have a mission to complete, he said before he left. No one really wanted to go on the mission after that, but the rest of Team 7 followed behind nonetheless, while still sobbing except Sasuke. But he had his head down, making people wonder just what happened in the Hokage's office. A couple weeks passed by from that day. Team 7 would complete various D-rank missions all over the village, while Sasuke and Naruto, well, mostly Sasuke, would train with Miley in secret. After finding out his chakra infinity was fire, Miley would ask her father to help in training him when he was free, since he too had a chakra infinity of fire. At first, he was scared of the man, but after a couple of weeks together, they became friends. He was also taught swordsmanship. To say he felt special was an understatement. He felt honored that they took the time to train him. Sasuke's father still paid little attention to him, so didn't know about his train, but his mother on the other hand knew he was being trained and felt proud of her son's accomplishment. After having enough of doing D-rank missions, Team 7 had enough. "To-san, no more chores. We're ready to take on a higher rank," yelled Naruto. "Kakashi, Kushina, do you think they're ready?" Minato questioned. "Yes, Hokage-sama, I do believe that they're ready," Kakashi replied. "Alright then, bring in the client." Just then a half-drunken man came in through the doors. "Alright, Team 7, your C-rank mission is to escort this bridge builder to the Land of Waves. His name is Tazuna," the Hokage said. "What are these? I hired ninjas, not a bunch of brats," although the raven and the blonde look reliable. This got a chuckle from both of them, and angry looks from the females on the team. Now, there are 2 powerful Chunin on our team and you guys can't kill the client," he said to the females. They were in a fighting stance, wanting to beat the crap out of him, but stayed down. Then Kakashi continued, "Let's meet at the front gates in 3 hours. And then shushed away. He's probably going to read that perverted book." They all sighed. Sakura turned to Sasuke and said, "Sasuke-kun, do you want to hang out while we wait?" she asked. He didn't look at her but instead turned to Naruto and said, "Wanna go finish that movie at your place? We had about an hour and a half left, leaving plenty of time." He asked. "Sure, and I think Miley's at home too. She's been dying to finish it," Naruto replied. As they were going to walk out, Naruto spoke up. Do you think I could watch with you guys? Please, I don't really have anything to do." She hoped that they would agree, but had a feeling that she was going to be ignored. "Sure, just don't make a sound during the movie, especially when the actors are talking, or else she'll never let you watch again. Oh, and don't get scared, we're watching a horror movie," Naruto said as they continued to walk out. She, along with her parents, were shocked that he had actually talked to her, let alone let her come along. She walked towards them smiling as they opened the door to leave. "Can I come too?" Sakura asked. "No," and then slam, the door was slammed in her face. She was fuming as to why Naruto was allowed to go and not her, and then she left. Did I just see that, or was I hallucinating? He talked to her, let alone said she could come, and then said no to the other girl. Minato spoke up. Do you think he's finally warming up to us? I mean, in practice, whenever I tell him something to improve on, he listens, and when I ask a question during training, he responds kindly. Kushina said. I don't think so. He might do so because you're his sensei, but nothing else. Let's just have hope, okay? She nodded and then left. Just as she was going to leave, Miley walked in for a mission. Reporting for a mission, Hokage, she saw Kushina and slightly bowed. I don't really have a mission for you now, Miley. How about taking a break until I do? Alright? She nodded as was going to leave, but was stopped. Wait, she turned around and faced Kushina. I know that I've acted horrible towards you, so I wanted to apologize, but you must understand, I thought that you told him to hate us. My wife and I are both sorry, and we would like to thank you for saving our son. You were, and still are, a major part of his life, and we want to be a part of it. We know what we did was wrong, so please help us get our son back, he pleaded. She looked at them and sighed. Look, I don't really like talking about this topic, but I guess I could give you a few tips. Just don't overdo it. You don't know this, but when I first met your son, he was already dead. What do you mean? He's right here. Kushina said, confused. Yes, but what I mean was that his eyes were dead. He didn't have the will to live anymore. I really don't know how I did it, but I gave him life back into his eyes, his smile, something that I vowed to give him back. Whatever you do, you have to promise he won't lose OT ever again. They nodded, and so she proceeded. Well, first off, transform yourselves into random villagers and observe what they do to him or say. Of course they don't know it's you guys, and so then you could ask why they're saying such things to your son. You'll have proof that way and also show that you care about your son, and not just lip service. Then just send them to Ibiki and Anko. Okay, we'll do it now. But he and Sasuke just went to your apartment to watch a movie. And can you believe that he let Naruto go along with him? Kushina said. Nah, not really. He didn't really hate her the way he hates you guys. It's just that she would blame everything she does onto him, and then you would believe her. Anyways, I'll send him to the market for some random thing, and then you guys make your move. And then she shushed into her place. Once she arrived, she saw both Naruto and Sasuke about to start up the TV. Hey bro, mind go getting me a soda from the store? But we were just going to finish the movie, we have 3 hours to meet the other, he whined. Stop your winning, boy, and get me some soda, or else, she grinned darkly. He gulped in fear. He might love his sister to bits, but she was certainly a sadist, so he got up and went to the store. He earned so glares from the villagers but just shrugged it off. Then someone threw a rock at him, and just as he was going to do something, someone stopped it. Some who he knew due to their chakra, they transformed back to their original form, and it turned out to be the Hokage. They were shocked and gulping in fear. Who dares insult my son? Don't you people have shame? He yelled. Naruto just stared at him and stared at him and stared. But Hokage-sama, he is the demon and he isn't with that girl, so we must seize this chance. One of the villagers spoke up. What kind of logic is that? He has the beast sealed within him. If it wasn't for him, then we wouldn't have the village that we're living in today. They were all silent and didn't say a word. He turned to his son, who was nowhere to be found, but picked up his chakra signature and then followed him. He then found him in a secluded area in the village. Miley's place was quite secluded, and so approached him. Are you alright? He asked nervously. Yes, Hokage-sama, but you didn't need to interfere. I had everything under control. He said in a calm yet dark tone. Yes, but they need to understand that you aren't a demon. That their safety is the burden that you're carrying. Is this how they always treat you? He asked weakly. Only when Miley isn't with me. Which is when she's on missions. She tries to get it done as fast as she could. I guess it's why she finishes most S-ranked missions in a couple of days. If she isn't though, she has a member of the league look out for me. When I was younger, they would bring me to the main house, and only when suspicion aroused, they would send a clone. He said as they walked to the apartment. Once they reached the door, Miley opened it and saw Naruto with a questioning look towards the Hokage. Hello Hokage, do you want to come in? She asked politely, ignoring the glares from her bro. Thank you, and then he came inside. He saw his daughter and Sasuke on the couch waiting for the rest to sit down. We were just gonna start the movie bro. Where's my soda? It's right here. He tossed her the can and then sat on the floor with the popcorn. The Hokage sat next to his daughter and Miley beside Sasuke. Alright, for the newcomers, just know that we are in the middle of the movie. Actually, you could say the middle of the beginning. Don't worry, you'll understand the story anyways, and then she turned it on. Once the movie was done, Naruto and the Hokage looked as if they had been scared for life, while the other three just casually put everything away. Right, you guys have a mission, right? Well then get packing. Wait a minute, do you guys WQTCH these movies all the time? Naruto asked, still shaking. Yup, pretty much. Yeah. They got ready and then Miley asked the Hokage if she could come along with Team 7, which he agreed. When it was finally time, everyone gathered in front of the gate, they all left. On their way, they noticed a puddle. Sasuke, Naruto said as he reached for his pocket. Yeah, jump. Just then, 3 chains were directed to Kakashi, Kushina and Miley. Just as they jumped up, the chains stopped place. Well, if it isn't the demon brothers of the mist. Really, you guys are getting a bit rusty. A puddle in an area where there wasn't any rain. How pathetic. They turn around and see Miley with her hand in the air, all wondering what was going on. The Junins just stared at her, wondering of her powers. Alright boys, they're all yours, and then dropped her hand. Sasuke and Naruto went in for an instant kill and then they were dead. Naruto then sealed their bodies in order to clock their bounties later on. They then continued to walk as if nothing happened. Naruto baka, you can't be strong like Sasuke-kun. What did you do? Sakura screamed. Can you shut the hell up? Damn, you're so annoying. How the hell are you even a ninja with that mouth? This got her some giggles and a glare from Sakura. Anyways, she turns to the 2 Junins. Aren't you gonna ask your client what's going on? I mean, this is clearly not a C-rank mission. You're right. The demon brothers, why were they after you, Tazuna? Asked Kakashi. Then he explained the whole thing and they decided to continue on the mission anyways. Say Miley, what was that power that you used to stop the chains? That wasn't like any jutsu I've ever seen. Kushina exclaimed. It was what on everyone's mind except Naruto and Sasuke, and they wanted to know. It's called telekinesis, sorry, but it, along with the rest of my powers, are a sulfur monosulfide rank secret. Anyone that knows without my father's consent, he'll kill immediately. They shuddered at the thought of having a mass murder haunting you for the rest of your life. Then why did you use it? Naruto asked. Because I don't like listening to what that old man says. Duh. And then continued on her merry way with the rest tagging behind. As they were close to the village, Naruto threw a kunai into one of the bushes. Out came a white bunny. Naruto baka, you were going to ki. She was silenced by a sword on her throat. Belittle my brother again and I want Hesi State to put this sword right through your chest, Miley said in her demonic voice. They don't know that the sword won't kill her. This got her to shut up, much to everyone's relief. Just then Kakashi yelled, Duck, duck, where is it? She was cut off by a sword swinging their way while everyone, except Miley and Naruto, were on the floor. She caught the sword's blade in between 2 of her fingers, shocking the onlookers. Wow, Kakashi, that wasn't a duck. It was a sword, Miley whined. How sad. He doesn't even know the difference between a duck and a sword. Naruto sighed. He should go back to the academy for being too dumb. It'll get him killed for sure, and I don't think that even the academy could help him. We should buy him picture books to read by himself. Nate-chan, he needs at least 5 teachers to help him. He can't do it alone. All the while they were bad-mouthing Kakashi, he just stared at them wide-eyed. I'm right here, he said. The others were either laughing or just wondering how strong this girl really was. Then they were covered in fog. My, what do we have here? Some nin. Cut the crap, Zabuza, we all know it's just you. Naruto, clear the fog, it's getting really annoying, she said in a bored tone. He did a jutsu that cleared the fog and so revealed a paled man, who they took as Zabuza. You, he pointed at Miley and they all looked. What are you doing here? And with the leaf ninja? You're the she-devil. Ka-san. Why does he look so scared? Naruto whispered. I guess he knows her strength. To be honest, no one in the village has ever seen her at full power. Kushina said. Alright, you guys are supposed protect the bridge, dude. Don't worry, Zabuza, I'm not going to interfere on this fight. I'll go over there and watch. Good luck. And then she walked to a tree, sat down and undid one of her seals that contained a fudge cake. She began to happily eat it. She can't be serious, can she? The Junins thought. Naruto and Sasuke began their assault, and to say that the people there were impressed was an understatement. Naruto, I think I know what's going on, but Sasuke, how did he get so strong in the couple of weeks that we were training? Kakashi thought. No wonder Ni-san, my son, didn't want our training style, Kushina and Naruto thought. I knew those two were special, Tazuna thought. Soon both boys were towering over his almost dead body, until a hunter nin appeared and took his body away. They then went to Tazuna's house and met his daughter, Sumi, SP. They ate their meal and then decided to take about a plan. Well, first off, Zabuza's alive, Miley said. This got the two girls shocked but not the others. How can he be alive? He was taken by the hunter nin to be killed, Naruto said, then mumbled something about, don't you know anything, which got her a glare and killer intent from Naruto, who was going to say something but was stopped. Chill out, bro, and yes, apparently I know more than you. If you studied more in the academy you would have to know that hunter nin destroy the criminal's body on the spot. This one, however, didn't. I think it was Haku. Yup, it was most definitely Haku. He uses senbon needles. Who's Haku? Kushina asked. He's an accomplice of Zabuza's. Don't be fooled by his appearance. He might look like a girl, but he is most definitely a guy. EHH? They all thought. How do you know all of this? Sasuke questioned. He was pretty amazed by her information. Well, I'm not the top intelligence reporter for nothing, you know, she said as she flicked her hair. Anyways, why don't you get some sleep? We'll start training tomorrow, Kakashi said. What are you going to teach us, sensei? Sakura said, finally managing to gather enough courage to speak after her terrified experience with Miley before. Tree climbing, but without your hands, he grinned. The two girls groaned while the boys looked at Miley, who shook her head, telling them to shut up. They went upstairs and then went to sleep. The next day, they were all outside with kunai in their hands. Alright then, whenever you reach a point on the tree market. Now start. Naruto just turned to Miley and asked if she could train him and Sasuke. Naruto, you have to first learn this training exercise, Kushina said. He looked at her blinking as if are you serious? I'm sorry sensei, but I learned that when I was 5. He said deadpanned. She then looked at Sasuke. I also know how to do that as well, he replied. She was astonished who had taught them. Who taught you guys? Kakashi asked curiously. They never suspected Miley because she refused everyone. She put her hands on both of her students' head and chuckled. They only learned from the best, Kakashi. Hope you don't mind if I take them away. She smiled. You? But you refused everyone that asked you. Why did you train them? To say Kakashi was shocked was an understatement. Well, 1, they showed great potential and they were both determined. Plus I liked their goals. And 2 is that no one would have brought out the best of their abilities. Besides, they were both deprived of training, so I saw it only fair. Then can you train me, to get strong too? Naruto asked. Aren't you the same pathetic brat that's been dissing me and flaring up their weak killing intent towards me? Sorry, but I don't train prissy princesses, she said as she left a fuming Naruto. Then she turned to Sakura. You, however, wouldn't do well as a ninja. Your calling is elsewhere. What do you mean? I'm not supposed to be a ninja, she asked in a scared tone. Seeing this, Miley sighed. Look, don't be afraid. I only got angry because you kept disimage my bro and yelling. I don't mean you should be a ninja. I mean that you have great chakra control, so think you should focus more on being a medical ninja. You could ask Tsunade to teach you, and once you have the basics found and I see you determined, then I can teach you from then on. But Tsunade is the best medical ninja known. How are you going to teach me more? Sakura questioned. Don't get her wrong, she was thrilled the girl didn't hate her but just wondered what she meant. Please. In the league, what Tsunade knows is just seen as the basics. I could turn you into the most badass medic nin, that is if you have determination. She smirked as the girl nodded furiously. Mwahaha. Konoha is going to bow to my students. Ha ha ha. She laughed evilly as the others just sweat dropped. What do you mean that what Tsunade is capable of is child's play? She's the best known, Kakashi said as he finally composed himself. You all know that once your spinal cord breaks that you'll be in a wheelchair forever, right? Tsunsde can't help you, Naruto spoke up. They looked at him and then, well, the league's medical ninjutsu is so advanced that they are able to heal it as good as new. You could also go back to being a ninja. He finished. They looked at the girl in awe. Well then, let's stop the chit-chat and start training. And then they went their separate ways. They stayed in the land of waves for about a week and the bridge was completed. Zabuza and the fake hunter Nin came back but were killed along with Gato. Team 7 were on their way to the village when Miley spotted something. They went to go check it out and sure enough it was a ruin. Naruto, look at these markings. Don't they seem familiar? Yeah, it looks like the ones on the scroll for the Sky Islands. Wait, what? Sky Islands? And you guys can read this? Naruto asked. Naruto, I didn't know that you could read in ancient language. Kushina said with pride and question. You're mistaken, Kushina-sensei. I don't know one ancient language. I know a total of 10 languages. He said and then noticed a piece of paper half buried in the ground. His eyes widened at what was on it. Nei-chan, look, we finally found it. Oh my god, after all these years we finally found it. He yelled as he rushed over to her side. Now her eyes widened as she looked at the paper. OMG. It's real, it's really real. She yelled and screamed and held Naruto's hand and started to jump up and down. They were both dancing around while the others were just confused. I think we deserve an explanation for your weird behavior. Kakashi said. They looked at him as if, when the hell were you guys here? Sorry, it's just that you know how me and Naruto love ancient artifacts and are always deciphering them, she questioned. They shook their heads. Really? I had no clue, Naruto said. Anyways, we found this legend in some of the scrolls that were connected ab. If you want her to continue you have to first promise that you won't tell anyone. That includes the Hokage, Naruto said sternly. Is it something bad? Kushina asked. No, it's our discovery, meaning no one has a right to claim it as theirs. They nodded and then continued. As I was saying, there were rumors in the scrolls about an island located up in the sky. We called it the Sky Island and wanted to see some kind of reassurance to know if it actually existed. This paper is a map of the island telling us where exactly it is. It's what we've been looking for so long. They were surprised. An island in the sky. How cool is that? They all thought. Come on, we have to get back to the village. I want to study the map more. Just as they reached the gates, a member of the league came down towards Miley. The Chunin got ready to fight but she raised her hand saying OT was alright. League language, my lady, it has been done. Same, thank you. You are dismissed. The others including the gatekeepers just looked at her and questioned what weird things she said. Miley, what did he finish? Did you tell him to do something? Naruto asked. Usually he would know everything but was surprised he didn't know. That lil bro was your surprise. Let's go. I'll show you. You're all welcome to come if you want. They decided to follow her, wondering what she has for him. Naruto on the other hand was thinking of all the things she might have gotten him. He grinned happily as he held her hand. She smiled and then continued along. As they were on their way, Kushina spoke up, finally realizing something. Naruto, how did you know what that man said earlier? Do you know the language? He nodded his head but never looked at her. This saddened her. At their time during the Land of Waves she could tell he had a lot of skill she never taught him. Alright Naru, I need you to close your eyes. He did as he was told, but wanted to open it when he heard the others gasp. Now, open. Standing in front of him was a beautiful and stylish 2-story house. Oat had a garden and bedded, the inside looked cool as well. OMG. It looks so nice. Wait, is this our new house? She nodded excitedly. Remember I told you we would have the most envied house in Konoha? Remember? He hugged her and then pulled her inside so she could show him everything. The others followed in awe. It was the greatest house they had ever seen. Miley, did you build this? It's amazing. How is it done so fast? Kushina just looked around and had to just have a house like this one. Her son was really lucky to have a sister like her. It was during our time away. I had it done as an earlier birthday present for Naru. All in all, it was the most badass house they had ever seen. It was a couple of weeks after the C-Turn a rank mission. The Hokage was both proud and concerned when they told him, but the team continued to work with other missions. And guess what? Naruto and Hinata were finally a couple. Flashback. A week went by after their mission and Miley and Naruto were just lazying around their new house. They both didn't have missions and both didn't want to go out. They sat in front of the TV with containers of ice. Yes, it was a hot day and both wore tank tops and shorts. As they enjoyed their time, they heard a knock on the door. Opening it, it revealed both Hyuga's sister. Miley, nay, we came over to hide. It's so hot and father wants us to train. It's not fair, pouted Hanabi. They all started to laugh. Well then come on in. We weren't really doing anything. It would be nice to have Comp NY, right Naru? She looked at her beloved brother only to see him bright red in the face. Looking at Hinata she saw the same. Man, can these two get any more obvious? She dragged the two girls inside and brought them to the living. They were already used to the house, as they came often, much to the envy of others who would sell their soul just to take a glimpse inside. It was designed in no way that they had ever seen. Some even tried to sneak inside the house when it was empty only to have a life-threatening experience of a lighting-filled barrier around the house that sent most to the ICU and others in a coma for a couple months. That they learned to not pry into the sadistic girl's and her brother's life. Heck, even the council demanded entry, only to be shut down as she pulled out a law saying it was forbidden for such tactics to be used. Yes, Miley had memorized every law in Konoha. Anyways, as they sat and decided to dim the lights and watch a movie, Miley motioned to Hanabi, understanding they left, not before whispering to her brother, have confidence and get it over with. The two left were in an awkward silence until Naruto finally broke it. Hinata, I need to tell you something. For a while, a really long while actually. I've seen you more than a friend and I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to saw. He was cut off with hands wrapping around him. He looked up and saw to the girl hugging him. He hugged her back and whispered the 3 words she longed to hear. The 3 words that he always wanted to say. I love you. Just as those words were said, Miley and Hanabi had jumped out of their hiding places and hugged the newly formed couple. They were both happy for their siblings, but the happiest were the couple. End of flashback. Team 7 were called by their senseis. They were waiting for them at the usually training ground. Just then a yelling redhead and a tearing masked man came to them. I'm glad that you're all here. Now we called you all here because both Kakashi and I believe that you're ready for the upcoming Chunin exams. It will commence in 2 days. Here are your entrance papers. If you don't want to apply, it's up to you. You are now dismissed until the exams. Kushina finished. They took their pieces of paper and were going to walk off. Hey guys, why don't we go get something to eat and talk about the strategies that we're gonna use? You're all entering, right? Naruto asked. She wanted it to be an excuse to spend time with her brother. Sasuke looked at Naruto, who nodded his head, and then they followed her to barbecue. Sakura also followed, having somewhat lost her fangirl ways, but would still follow her Sasuke-kun. Seeing that their team was bonding, the two senseis looked happy. Hey, why don't we treat you guys as our last day as a student-teacher team? Kushina said as she followed with a tired Kakashi trailing along. Once they reached there, they saw the other rookie teams there eating together, so they decided to join. When the waitress came, she took their order and glared at Naruto, something that didn't go unnoticed by the people there. What's her problem? Why does she hate you so much? Asked a confused Kiba. The other wanted to know too, but the Chunin knew, so were wondering what the boy would say to cover it up. Imagine their surprise when they heard him say, because these idiotic buffoons think that I'm the nine-tailed fox when instead I'm the Jinchuriki, a vessel the Hokage used to seal it in to save the village. He said calmly, why did you say it? It's a village secret? Asuma said. Naruto just looked at him and glared. If it's so much of a secret, then why do they all know? Don't make me laugh. But then wouldn't that make you a hero or something? That's just plain ridiculous, Kiba said. The others had the same thoughts as well, which made the older Junins swell with pride. Pride that they weren't corrupted by the other villagers. They tried to comfort him, but, I don't know your pity. And with that they stopped. As they were talking amongst themselves, Minato walked in and joined them. They felt honored that the Hokage sat with them and he congratulated them on their entrance to the Chunins. The waitress came back with Team 7 foods, and not noticing the Hokage was about to throw Naruto's food at him, leaking out a killer intent, he said. Think about throw that food and I'll make sure to show you what kind of demon I am. She gulped and handing his food, hurried away, much to the amusement to the others. Do they always do this? Kakashi asked softly. Only when I'm not with Miley, he said as he continued to eat his food. Hokage-sama, with all due respect, why are you letting the villagers treat your son like trash? I mean, he has to have told you at one point, right? Kurenai asked. She didn't understand how their beloved leader let this continue. He and his family looked away in shame. They continued to eat their food again and the lively chatting began again. Just then, Choji tried to take some of Naruto's food, but his hand was slapped away with a bit too much force. "Don't take any of my food, and else you want to die." They just looked at him in surprise. They thought he was friends with Choji, but then maybe that wasn't the case. "Hey, now, no need for threats," Asuma began. "It wasn't a threat. There's poison in my food, and if he ate it then he would have died. I don't want the few people I respect dead." "Then continue eating again." "What?" They all yelled in unison. His food was immediately sniffed by Kiba, who declared that there was indeed something disgusting that smelled in there. He looked at him wide-eyed as to how he ate it so casually. "What do you mean there was poison in the food? How could you eat it? How are you still alive to begin with? Why didn't you say anything?" Minato yelled. Naruto just sobbed, thinking that her brother was going to die any minute now. Kishina already went to the kitchen and there were unpleasant noises. The Chunin and the rookies minus Sasuke and Hinata, since they now the story, were beyond shocked and looked at the boy with a bored expression. There were onlookers now, and even people in the streets were pouring in. He frowned because now he couldn't eat in peace. "You know, the only reason I came along was to help in making team combinations, not this. To answer your questions, 1, I ate because I was hungry, 2, I'm immune to poison so they could add as much as they could, and 3, I did tell. There are record files in the hospital that showed that it was extracted after I was in a coma for about 4 months. I didn't expect you to notice, since when I told you I was slapped and told to go to my room for lying. Now if you excuse me, I have no business here anymore." He stood up, planted a kiss on Hinata's cheek and then left. Now everyone's attention was on the Hokage. They couldn't believe what they just heard. What the hell was up with the Hokage? Now everyone understood why they were distant. Then they heard, as he was on his way out, but blocked by the lot of villagers that poured into the diner. "You see, even Hokage-sama is on our side. You demons should just die. Don't think the Hokage will save you. He never did. Yeah, and that girl isn't with you to protect. That's enough. If anyone calls my son a demon again, I will have them executed." "Don't you people know that he's my son?" Minato yelled. "He's Hokage-sama's son. Did you know that?" "No, I didn't. Forgive us, Naruto-sama. We didn't know you were Hokage-sama's son." "Yes, please forgive us. We won't bother you again." Minato smirked, happy that the villagers weren't going to bother his son again. "I don't need your pity. You stopped them now when I don't need you to. Where were you all those other years?" "How pathetic," Naruto says to Minato, and then leaves. Kushina came in and noticed that Naruto wasn't there. "Where did Naruto go? We have to give him an antidote for the poison?" she shouted. Naruto is immune to poison. Surprisingly, it was Hinata that spoke up. Kurunai, having seen the little act before, was happy for her student to be able to date her longtime crush. "After you people neglected him, Miley found out about the poisoning, so she trained him in being immune." Her voice was cold and scary, something that no one expected from the Hyuga heiress. She stood up and, saying goodbye to her team, went to go look for Naruto. "You people make me sick. He's right, you know. Where were you when he needed you most?" Shikamaru said, as he looked at the Hokage and his family straight on. Asuma couldn't believe that he was doing something too troublesome. "Excuse me? You have no right," Kushina began. "Actually, I have every right to say this. Beside me, Choji, Hinata and Hanabi, we were all friends since we were young, and we would always witness the villagers' glares. We couldn't do a thing, and just like him, we had no idea why they hated us. Hinata and Hanabi's father didn't want them near him, but their mother didn't mind, which is why they were still together. My parents and Choji's didn't mind us being friends, and when a mob started to form and saw it, they would bring him to our house." Shikamaru said coldly. "Yeah, everything turned out better when Miley came. She would always protect him and beat up any of the villagers or shinobi that wanted to beat him. It's actually why no one touches him when she's around. We all know what kind of life he lived, and then when he found out that the Kyuubi was sealed, it all made sense. We also know how you guys treated him, that's why we don't like you guys. Really, Hokage-sama, you use your power as Hokage to have your son with the rest of your family, but you don't use it to save him. Let's go, Shikamaru, I just lost my appetite," Choji said as they both left. The rest of the people looked astonished at what they said. Asuma especially. 2 of his students just belittled the Hokage and his family as if it was nothing and went away with it. "Hokage-sama, I really apologize to what they both said. I'll teach them some manners later." He bowed. The Hokage was speechless. It was true that he did put Naruto on the same team as his wife and daughter so they could get closer to him, but he never did the same when he was younger. Every word those two said to him was the truth. Well, since I only came because of Naruto, I'll leave. And since everyone seems to be insulting the Hokage family, I guess I'll say something too. I don't quite know why you people are still alive, or even why this village is still standing, especially since he could have released it anytime he wanted. I know I would have done, just to make these ungrateful idiots pay. Sasuke stood and left. After that, one by one they all left quietly, until it was only the Hokage and his family, all still in shock. 2 days later, Team 7 were walking to take the Chunin exams. Once they reached the building they began to go up the stairs. When they reached the second floor, they saw a genjutsu in place and people wanting to get in the door, thinking it was the room. 3 of them started to go up the stairs to the third floor. Hey, where are you guys going? The room is right there. Naruto said. Seriously, I thought you were trained by the Hokage and his wife, and yet you can't tell that's a genjutsu. Sakura mocked her. She stopped being a fangirl after hearing Naruto's story and, like the rest of the rookies, hated her along with her family because of what they did to Naruto. Naruto just huffed and started to go up after them. When she reached the top, she was met with her mother and Kakashi. What took you so long? They asked, as the rest of her team was in front of them. She fell for the genjutsu downstairs. Sakura said, mockingly. The other two began being a bit closer to her since she matured, saying they liked her better now. We couldn't just leave her there, since all team members had to participate. Sasuke said, earning a nod by Naruto. Naruto, however, couldn't believe that they were going to leave her. Anyways, good luck on the exams, Kakashi said and then shushined away. Kushina looked at them. Yes, do your best. That's all that matters. She smiled at them and then left, not before looking at her son sadly. He wasn't looking at her at all. Once they were inside, they were met with different killing intents, but one from both Naruto and Sasuke made them tremble in fear. They walked in and sat down. As they did, the rest of the rookies came to them. Hinata gave him a kiss on the cheek and hugged him, in which he returned. They truly were happy together. He turned to Shikamaru and Choji. I wanted to thank you guys. I heard what you said to the Hokage and his family. Thanks, it means a lot. No prob, Naruto munch, it was the truth anyways. Choji said as he ate his pack of chips. It was troublesome, seeing the Hokage in a good mode all the time, thinking he could just mend things together. You're starting to sound like a sadist. I hope Miley isn't rubbing in on you. Hinata said. The 4 were really good friends, some could actually say like family. Naruto already heard what Sasuke said, and thanked him before. Exam is taken, they pass and now in front of the Forest of Death. Orochimaru comes to attack, but is defeated, but gets away. Sasuke doesn't have the curse seal. 5 days are up and now waiting to hear what the Hokage is to say. I want to congratulate all of you in passing the exams. But because there are too much of you, there will be preliminaries first. If there is anyone who would want to leave, please do so now. Much to their amusement, Miley, who was going to watch the fight, forced by the Hokage to watch the fight, raised her hand. Hokage-sama, I really don't want to be here, so can I leave? Minato facepalmed. Miley, you have to be here in place of your father. We have an alliance, meaning that someone from the league has to be here, meaning you. I already told you this. I really don't want to be here. I already know who's going on and I only care if 6 people move on. The others could screw themselves. She whined. This earned her some jeers from the competitors, but the mixture of her glare, her showing them the finger and her killer intent, had them all silenced and sitting on the floor like good little babies. Just then, Ra's al Ghul came in and was welcomed with a punch. He looked up to see his daughter with a creepy sadistic smile. Dear father, would you kindest to tell me where the hell were you? Did you know I had to wake up and come here just because you weren't here yet? Calms down, so please humor me with what you have to say. Now don't get him wrong. Ra's loves his daughter to bit, but sometimes he wishes that she wasn't so scary. He was sweating bullets, which could be seen by others, but quickly responded. I had some business to take care of. I'm really sorry. Hugs her. Don't be angry, okay? She pouted but agreed. She loved her father. Even though her mother died and he was busy, he still had time with her and took care of her, that alone she was happy. Moving on, they looked at the screen and saw the first match. Skipping to Naruto's match, which is last. Naruto vs. Kiba. Everyone looked at the two. Naruto just casually jumped over the rail and onto the field. Kiba came down right after him. Are you ready to lose? I'm not holding back, got that? Kiba said. He felt oddly confident. Let's just get this over with, Naruto said as he looked at the protractor. He nodded. Now begin, he said. Kiba began charging at Naruto, who suddenly disappeared. He was behind Kiba, and the next thing he knew, he was unconscious. Naruto had chopped the back of his neck in order to render him unconscious. People just looked shocked at him as he looked back at his protractor with the same bored expression he had at the beginning. Winner Naruto Nami. It's Uzumaki, Naruto Uzumaki. He said in a cold tone. He forgot to change his last name. This left the members in his family heartbroken at what he said and others confused. He walked back to where his team was. You know, you could have given us a show. Sasuke said. Please, I'm not going to raise their hopes, then utterly humiliate them like you. Naruto said as he smirked. Sasuke chuckled as he remembered his match. He made it look like he was almost beaten, but that was only a genjutsu. Real him had beaten the sound ninja to a bloody pulp, scaring some of the Chunin there. I guess. Besides that, I thought you changed your name legally? What's up with what he said? Oh, about that, I completely forgot. I'll do it at the end of the exams. He was. Naruto, I won't allow to change your name, you're still a part of our family. Kushina pleaded. That was the last thing that connected them together, and it seemed like he wanted it gone. Ni-san, Ka-san is right. Please don't, he didn't bother to even look at them and then tackled by Miley. Bro, that is hilarious. You should have seen the Hokage's face when you did that. It was like 0_0? Like what the hell just happened? They all laughed at that thought. Well, Sasuke and Sakura did. Naruto and their Chunin instructors were furious, except Kakashi, who was off somewhere giggling like the pervert he is. But I have to say, I give most points to Sasuke when it comes to style. Even my dad was laughing. We already knew it was a genjutsu, so when we were laughing at the sound nin, the Hokage and the people around thought we were crazy or something. Oh, and you Sakura, did relatively well against a clan heiress. I was actually surprised when you forced her out of your mind. Thank you Miley. I want to be a medical nin really. I thought about what you told me and you're right. I can't really find myself as a ninja. But why can't you just train me directly? She was extremely happy that she was praised. Because, as you know, I'm a sadistic crazy little bee asterisk 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 asterisk. So I want to see the face on Tsunade when her apprentice becomes a better nin than her. Besides, she will tell you the secret to her strength and that could benefit you a lot. I said this once, and I'll say this again, Konoha will bow to my students. MWHAHAHA. Everyone there just stared at her and wondered why she wasn't at the mental institute already. Now in 1 week's time, the main Chunin exams will begin. In that time, you should train and get ready. Congratulations to the 10 competitors that passed. You are all dismissed. Hokage said and they all decided to leave. One thing was on everyone's mind. These exams are going to be exciting.
That's all for now. If you want to see next part, then please like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.